The base is dropped on an afternoon drive edition of Soccer Down here. Jason Longshore, Jarrett Smith, John Nelson here with you today. Overreaction Monday, and I have a feeling there's going to be some reactions. That will be some whoppers today. Atlanta United loses 4-1 in Toronto on decision day. They lose the Supporters' Shield and did not look very good in this one. Lots of stuff to digest, lots of stuff to dissect. We'll be doing that for the next 2 hours. Hour number 3 today, I said hour number 3, will be Soccer Over There in a supersized edition of the SDH Network show. Nick Alifi will be joining us at 6:30. We'll talk about soccer over there and down there and all over the place outside of North America. So there'll be plenty to dig into in that show. But first, we have to get into Atlanta and Toronto. And Jarrett Smith, I have not talked to you outside of a couple of messages last night where we didn't even get into the game. So thoughts on yesterday in Toronto?
It wasn't good enough. You had the biggest game. Yeah, the franchise had the biggest game they've had. First trophy on the line, history on the line. Everything was laid out in front of them, and they weren't good enough. It wasn't that they lost, it was how they lost. It was the performance coming out and just how flat they looked. They didn't seem to find their feet until they were already up to their neck in water. Chances they had went wanting in ways. In kind of part of it reminded me of the Houston game at the beginning of the season where everything just looked flat and no one looked ready. And then when they did get chances, you go, that usually works, and it didn't work this time. And no one looked ready. No one looked like they were prepared to get pushed back on their heels. Mistakes you're not used to seeing. Brad Guzan getting beat near post late was one that I was surprised by. But at the same time, you have to give Seb a credit for a really nice finish on that volley. But early on, even mistakes like you're not used to seeing Jeff Larentowicz misplay that ball. Chris McCann, I'm not sure when he got hurt. I'm wondering if he picked up, if he was starting to fade before he came off and before that second goal, and that led to him kind of being out of position on that second goal. And made a good try on that last-ditch slide tackle, but wasn't able to get anything to it. But just the mistakes were there, but they were getting punished for their mistakes. And they didn't seem to have a response. They seemed like they were on unsteady legs until the second half. I don't have much else on that, honestly. It's just it wasn't good enough. I buy it from the players that the Tata thing wasn't a distraction, but I don't know what happened for them not to be ready for that moment. There are going to be questions now going into the game for the Eastern Conference semifinals. And there deserve to be questions. You can't sit here right now and say, well, they don't need questions. They'll be okay. Like, well, I mean, maybe they will be. This team hasn't lost back-to-back games in an eon, which bodes well considering, the history, and you're about to go on the road. If let's say you win a game on the road in the Eastern Conference semifinals, the stats say you're in amazing shape. But there are going to be questions, and those questions are going to be understood after everything that happened. If I'm looking for a bright spot, I loved what I saw from Tito when he came on in the second half. I thought there were one or two times where I thought he tried to do a little too much, but he looked good when he came on. I thought Greg Garza looked good when he came on. I can assume they weren't 90-minute fit. Otherwise, I think they would have been out there from the first minute. But going into the playoffs, you don't also want to burn your guys into the ground. But, yeah, the thesis here is it wasn't good enough, and I don't know why.
John, thoughts?
I think that we get to see what the lineup, actually what Miguel Almiron means to the lineup. I think we get to see what Tito Villalba means to the lineup. I think that you look at things formationally, and a word that you used on the broadcast yesterday and also in the discussion with Mike Conti, that uncomfortable. And chalk it up to whatever you have, in your brain for lack of comfort, for being just uncomfortable. And you combine that with a deflection for goal number one, and then, you have to fight back from a deficit. You have Julian Gressel with a shot that hits the underside of the bar, and they can't get a rebound in. And I know that a lot of the Atlanta United fans that I was with yesterday watching this particular match are still trying to figure out why a flag was raised in the position that it was, which would have made it 2-2, which would have made it an entirely different game with 15 minutes to go. But for me, didn't look comfortable, came out flat. We saw what life was like without Miguel Almiron and Tito Villalba, and now hopefully with the two of them healthy, when you get into the Eastern Conference semis, people will see the difference close up.
Yeah, it just never really looked like Atlanta United in the first half, and that's a big problem. That's a big problem because you can't, at this stage of the season, come out flat. You just can't do that and get results. This has been a second-half team all season, and that was a big departure from last year. Last year, it felt like Atlanta United started hot and buried teams with early goals. This year, it's been second-half goals. It's been a big first 15 minutes coming out of the break. That's not going to work at this point of the season because if you're chasing the game, I mean, it feels like every week we cite how important the first goal is. First goal is critical. And if you're not getting early goals and you're conceding early and you're having to expend that energy chasing the game, you just can't be expected to win week after week. When you get into the postseason, every goal is so meaningful because they become harder to come by. You're not going to see goal scoring at the same rate across MLS in the postseason that you did during the regular season. And there were a lot of goals this season. You're not going to see that. Games are going to tighten up. And we'll look at the Supporter Shield winners, New York Red Bulls. The Red Bulls have conceded 1 goal in their last 5 matches. That's why you have the best season in MLS history. And yeah, they're the best team in the postseason. They are the MLS Cup favorites, 100%. Because of that, if you don't concede goals, you're not going to lose games. And postseason is all about not losing games. I know that sounds simplistic, doesn't it? But if you don't lose, you're going to have a shot to go to penalties at a bare minimum. And the Red Bulls have shown that they can get some goals outside of the run of play. Whether it's a penalty here, a corner here, a different set piece over here, they're finding enough going forward, and they're shutting up shop defensively. This is one of the best defenses in MLS history. Atlanta yesterday, defensively, first half, looked like a mess. I don't know why. There's not an easy explanation for it. It was the 4-3 or 4-2-3-1 to start. Again, just like Chicago. So it's not like it was something brand new out of nowhere. But neither time, even though Chicago, you only allowed 7 shots, and 1 shot on goal in the whole match. That sounds great. Never felt like you had complete control of that game. You didn't really concede much. You didn't really create much. It was okay. This one, you conceded a lot more. You never had control of the game until it was 2-0 Toronto. And yes, you controlled some of the run of play at that point, but that's not controlling the game. That's Toronto sitting back with a lead. It just wasn't good enough. I don't think it had anything to do with the Tata Martino announcement. I truly don't, because I feel like that would have showed up earlier than this. It's not like it was news completely out of nowhere. I don't think it was a gigantic surprise when that announcement was made last Tuesday. I don't know, but it's a problem, and it's a big problem heading into the postseason because it's hard to learn how to win these games, or at a minimum, how not to lose these games. It's very difficult, and it takes some time. It takes some experience. That time is gone. And the experience, I hope you've learned from what's happened at this point. Now, a couple things to consider here and a couple things to keep in mind. This was the first match in Atlanta United history where they would be lifting a trophy at the end of it if they got the win, or even with some other results. you could have done it. But you had to win to get the trophy. You had to win to guarantee it. You didn't. In other knockout scenario types of games that felt like a final, they were 2-2-1 coming in. Your 2 wins were against the Charleston Battery and Open Cup in 17 and 18. Your 2 losses were Miami in Open Cup last year and Chicago this year. Your draw was the scoreless draw that you lost on penalties to the Columbus Crew last year in the knockout round. It's not great. There is a process to learning how to deal with these types of moments. Tata Martino's talked about it. Other managers have talked about it. This is nothing new in the world of soccer. It's honestly nothing new in the world of sports. However, with the announcement, Tata Martino's not coming back next year, with the rumors continuing to swirl about Miguel Almiron, and just the understanding that things are going to change next year, that time to learn is gone now. And for this era of Atlanta United, and yeah, it's 2 years, it's a small era, but it's an era because you're going to have a new manager in place next year, and you never know what that can bring. This era is rapidly coming to a close, and I will completely stand by what I said on Jason Davis's show on SiriusXM FC last week, where I don't think the lack of a supporter shield or even the lack of an MLS Cup, I don't think it makes the Tata Martino run in Atlanta United a failure, a disappointment. I don't think any of that. I think his legacy will be absolutely strong. But in the short term, it takes a big hit. The short-term memory of it is not going to be pleasant because of the way it would finish. In a decade, you're going to look at it a different way because you're going to look at the numbers and you're going to start to actually be able to look at it away from the emotion of it. You're going to look at Atlanta United with 36 wins in their first 2 seasons. Nobody's done that in the post-shootout era. Chicago had 38 in the shootout era in 98 and 99. Nobody else has done that. Toronto won like 15 games in their first 2 years. Seattle, as great as Seattle is, they won 26 games in their first 2 years. This is a team that has been entertaining. They have scored goals at a rate we have not seen in MLS in a 2-year period. All of those things will hold up over time. The problem is you are measured by trophies. And when you have opportunities for trophies and you come out with a poor opening performance, this wasn't a game where you started out and played well and hit the post a bunch of times. You hit the post later. You were already down 2-0. This is a game that hurts, and this is a game that raises a lot of questions going forward. Questions that can be answered and should be answered, but they're there. And this is something that you have a week to figure out. For Tata Martino going into a match on the road on Sunday, not knowing what the opponent will be until Wednesday night at the earliest. If New York City FC wins on Wednesday night, that's the destination, Yankee Stadium, next Sunday. If not, you have to wait and see what happens in D.C. and Columbus. It's not going to be an easy week. Honestly, at this point, I don't think the opponent matters. I think Atlanta United has to get back to who Atlanta United is. I think maybe they have to answer who they are right now. Because this season has been a season of incredible tactical flexibility. You've seen different shapes. You've seen, a team that will play on the counter. You've seen a team that will press. You've seen lots of different things. But right now, when you kind of need that identity to be clear, I don't know if it is. Outside of the identity at the moment this is Miguel Almiron's team. In 2018, this is Miguel Almiron's team. And I completely agree that Joseph Martinez is the most valuable player in MLS this year. There's no question about that to me because of his accomplishments. But when you actually get down to just this individual team and who the most important player is in it, I think these last 2 weeks show that it's Miguel Almiron. You did not have a spark yesterday. You did not have that presence that was going to carry this team forward. You saw different players try to step up after things had already turned bad. But that's different. You didn't have that player earlier in the game to make that moment, that play that we've seen Miguel make so many times. This team feeds off of Miguel Almiron right now, and I would expect him to be in the starting lineup Sunday. Reportedly, he trained this past week. He was in training. He wasn't just training on the side. There was no, I don't want to say there was no need to risk him on Sunday, because obviously if you had played him and you win the trophy, then it's worth it. But if you play him and he gets injured and then he's done for the postseason, is it worth it? That unknown, I get why he wasn't in the 18. Totally get it. But he's going to be necessary going forward now. There's no more time to wait. He has to play on Sunday, barring something that we honestly just don't know anything about right now. It's going to be a long week. The narratives have changed and shifted, and the questions are there, and questions that you wouldn't expect for a team that just tied the previous all-time points record in the league. And there's only been one team in league history that has scored more points in a season, and that was this year, the team that beat you for the Supporter Shield. You wouldn't think these questions would be arising about a team that had that successful of a regular season, but here we are because of the way things ended yesterday. So we're going to take a break. We have lots of reactions from you guys. It is an Overreaction Monday. That's what we will be doing for the next hour and 45 minutes, and maybe stealing some of Nick Leafy's time as well, because it's going to be one of those days. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back with your reactions off of Twitter. Tweet at us at Overreaction Monday at Soccer Down Here. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. October 29th, the day after Decision Day. It was not a good decision day for Atlanta United. 4-1 losers in Toronto. Second place in the Eastern Conference is where Atlanta finished up. They will be meeting the highest seeded survivor from the knockout round, which starts on Wednesday. NYCFC is your 3 seed. They host Philadelphia Union Wednesday night. DC United all the way up to the 4 seed. They host the Columbus Crew on Thursday night. John, let's get to the Overreaction Monday hashtag and Twitter timeline.
Okay, let's start with the Swixter, who pretty much did it immediately after the game was over. We played flat, but it was never going to be an easy finish. Atlanta finished away at the former MLS Cup champions and then points record holder, and Red Bulls had a home game against the second worst team in the league. We can point to the few games we floundered in, but we can point right back to winning 1-0 down a man in Minnesota. winning 2-1 at Orlando twice, coming back from 3-1 down in San Jose, and more. As Longshoe said, we must stop thinking about points and start thinking only about winning this game, every game. It's playoff time. It's our time to shine. # we gon' shine.
Yeah, it's a different world now. It's crazy when you're looking back at points. When you won 21 games, nobody had won more than 20. But that's the season that we had in 2018. You had the best race for a supporter shield that the league's ever had, and you had the two of the three best teams in league history competing for it. That's crazy, but that's what happened. And yeah, you can nitpick and find points that were dropped here and there. You can do the same for the Red Bulls. They dropped points as well. Everybody drops points. That's why nobody finishes 34-0-0. It's not easy in this league. But Atlanta United was not good enough on the final day to secure the Shield. The Red Bulls had an easier opponent. They took care of business. It wasn't pretty. 1-0 to Orlando City in that game at home. It's not great. Look, they had that goal. They had a penalty saved. Go back to Philadelphia the week before. They score on a penalty. Kind of dubious, but they get it. They score 3 goals early against San Jose to win that one comfortably. They get 2 goals outside of the run of play against Atlanta. And they beat Toronto 2-0 when Toronto was falling apart. So Red Bulls have gotten it done here at the end. They haven't exactly been dominating teams either. They've been pressing teams off the park, and that's worked for them. Now we see if that press holds up in the postseason, where it never has before. I think they're a different team with Chris Armas, though. That to me is the biggest difference. Is their press before was dangerous, Jarrett, but now I think they have that grit and resolve from Chris Armas that they didn't have under Jesse Marsh, and I think they're a much more dangerous cup contender, and I'd say they are the favorite going into the playoffs.
You talked about it last week with Daniel. What Armas brings, and that dust up you had on the sideline with Tata, where Armas was hyping people up and kind of leaning in, well, not even kind of, really leaning into that New York mentality, that that kind of blue collar mentality to it. And if they're all buying into it, I could see it working in the playoffs. Marsh overthought himself and thought his way out of good situations a lot. Does Armas make the same mistakes? I'm after what he's done this year, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say no. I don't think he does. He's going to have to show me that he screws up for me to think he's going to screw up, as opposed to me waiting for him to do it, if that makes sense. I'm going to be fascinated to see how this ends up playing out for them in their first round game, because they could. There's a chance, that they're going to have neither Atlanta nor Red Bulls have a coast ride to the Eastern Conference Finals, because you're either going to play NYC, who you don't want to play a home and home with them in that little bandbox. You don't want Philly either if you're New York. I don't think you want any. I understand Philadelphia faltered on the last day at NYC, but the recent run of form tells me I don't want to be locked in a cage with Philadelphia for 180 minutes. Same with DC. There's no cakewalk for anyone involved here. Chris Armas is going to have to show what he can do, and I think right now I think he can do it, and I think it's going to be. The dude's going to get a statue if he does it. If he's the coach who finally does it. Woo.
Yeah, the current form coming in, I think you'd have to look at Columbus as the weakest team in the East. Columbus has won 2 of their last 5. That's not good. 2 losses in that last 5, a draw. You go further back than that, it's not a whole lot better for Columbus. 3 wins since week 26. Columbus is the weakest team in the East. Out West, you've got a few teams that are stumbling into the playoffs. Dallas with 3 straight losses. That's a little surprising. LAFC 2-2-1 going into the postseason. We're not even going to talk about the Galaxy because they didn't make it. Real Salt Lake not great heading into the postseason either. 1 win, 3 losses, 2 draws. The West is a little crazier. The East, Red Bulls win the Shield, best season ever. Atlanta ties the previous record. Philadelphia has been hot in the second half of the season, although they're back-to-back losses going into the postseason. DC, we know what DC's done in the second half of the season. They haven't lost in 6 games. Actually, they haven't lost in further back than that. It's been a longer unbeaten streak for DC. Then Columbus, meh. But NYC. Let's talk about NYC for a minute. They get Yangel Herrera back. Herrera, when he went down earlier in the season, that was the biggest loss for NYC this season. They kind of muddled through. Dolme Tarrant has struggled in his time there after Patrick Vieira left. They didn't really replace Herrera in the summer transfer window like they said they would. It's been kind of a mix and match trying to find somebody to pair with Alexander Ring, and it hasn't worked. You get Herrera back last week for a late substitute appearance. He gets an assist and a loss. This week, he plays very well in a big win. NYC looks like they're a little bit different team with Herrera back. That changes the script for them. Eastern Conference is going to be a bloodbath.
Looking at the West, I mean, you talk about the teams out West that, like, Real Salt Lake limps in. LA Galaxy can't get it done. Not only could LA Galaxy not get it done, LA Galaxy blew a 2-goal lead to Houston. LA Galaxy and Vancouver have to be just kicking themselves, honestly. Look at the teams that got in, and all y'all had to do was win, or even be okay. Not even great. You had to be okay to get into the Western Conference there at the end with the teams that kind of limped in. That's not to say that they can't pull a Houston from last year and go punch someone in the face in the semifinals, but, man, you got to be kicking yourself if you're one of those two teams.
Yeah. They had their chances, both of them. I mean, Galaxy, all they had to do was beat a Houston team that had been eliminated for a while, and they had a 2-0 lead, and they lost it. Vancouver, they had a 1-0 lead on Kansas City in the 60th minute, and they lost 4-1. You had your chances, you didn't do it. That's the challenges you're talking about. So, keep these things in mind when it is frustrating the way Atlanta played yesterday. But when you look at the season at large, don't let one loss define a 69-point season and what Atlanta United did this year. That's the challenge in these types of moments. It's easy to let the last game define it. I don't think you can here. Atlanta does have to answer the questions that have popped up here at the end, 100%, but this has been one of the best teams in MLS history, and they still have a chance to win a trophy. They just have to find themselves again.
One more before the top of the hour, and Jarrett, since this one was kind of addressed to you, I will start with you on this one. From David King at David King 298. I'm concerned about Atlanta United's pattern of not playing well in big games. Is it confidence, lack of mental toughness, my imagination, or something else, and a combination of the above? Or have I just lived in Atlanta too long? #cursed, #overreaction Monday.
I mean, your club's been around for 2 years. I don't know if you want to go down the curse road just quite yet. Look at the big games you had this year. They've all been really weird. Sporting Kansas City was weird. Red Bulls was weird. The home game, especially the road game. Yeah, the road game you can look at and go, nope. Same with the Toronto game just now. You can look at it and go, nope. I mean, those two, absolutely. You can look at it and go, I expected better, and they should have expected better from themselves. A lot of your big games this year were just weird. You gave up 2 late goals in Dallas after you were in really good shape there. And that's one of those that's kind of a coin flip of you either gained or lost points at the last minute, like a lot of teams do. I don't think it's as bleak against the top teams as you might be, as everyone else might be making it out to be. NYC, you played 2 really good draws with them. Brad Guzan stood on his head in NYC in New York. You had a really good matchup here where Algen Ring hits a Galazo to pull their draw for them. You sweep Philadelphia and you sweep Columbus, and you won 2 at home against DC, one of which with that team that they've got now, although they were still trying to figure themselves out fully, and then you lost to them at home in a game where they played really well. Like it's not the end of the world, and Atlanta isn't, the goose isn't cooked here. It's not like Atlanta snuck in here and backed in looking awful. I mean, look, there's 21 teams in MLS and 12 get in. That's more than half. So if you were really an abomination against all the playoff teams, you wouldn't be sitting here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, the Atlanta curse thing's always going to pop up too, and I get it. I can't stand it, but I get it. I understand that's why everybody's always uneasy at all times, and sometimes you kind of just miss enjoying the ride. This one, playing well in big games, I honestly just keep coming back to, you have to learn how to handle these games. And to me, that has been a challenge for Atlanta because Atlanta has been so focused on entertaining. You're not necessarily controlling some of these games. For a New York team right now, their system of play is ingrained. They could care less about entertaining. Big games are really no different to them. It doesn't change the script for them at all. Atlanta has to find that balance. And it's something that Tata Martino has been able to do in the past. He went into the World Cup in 2010 with Paraguay, which did not have the talent of other teams. And he made them a very difficult team to break down. Same in the Copa America the following year. He can do this. You have the players who can do it. We've seen it at times this year when Atlanta United has played more defensively, hit on the counter. At this stage now, I feel like that's what you have to turn to, and you have to get that part of it right. Let's be real about what's ahead. If Atlanta United scores 2 more goals this season, they could be lifting MLS Cup because 1-0 aggregate wins in the next 2 rounds, plus a scoreless draw in MLS Cup and a penalty shootout win, you could be lifting a trophy. The key part of that, though, is not giving up anything, especially early. That's where Atlanta has to tighten up in these big games. You just can't fall behind and have to start chasing it because good comeback yesterday, good fight back. I thought the second half was good. You created some good chances. You go back and look at expected goals. Expected goals, Atlanta should have won 2-1. You created some quality chances. You hit the post twice. Problem is you gave up 2 goals in the first 20 minutes. And when you do that, your chances of winning are incredibly slim. So, there was a stat, I think MLS Rewind threw it up today, about teams that fall behind by 2 goals, or Atlanta's, I think, 1-9-1 when they fall in behind by 2 goals. That's a record about everybody has. You fall down by 2 goals, you're probably going to lose. It's not a difficult situation here to understand. Atlanta has to avoid that. In big games, they have to come out faster. They have to come out tighter in terms of cohesion, in terms of chemistry, in terms of the passing connections. It has to be crisper. It has to be tighter. That was not there in the early going yesterday. I would have loved to have seen them just try to settle in and control the possession a little bit better. The field had an effect. Yes, it did. We'll talk about it. I've seen a couple questions about that. But Atlanta United has to be better off the jump. And yesterday, first 20 minutes, cost you a chance to win and cost you the supporter shield at the end of the day. The rest of it, yeah, you got stretched at the end after you got it to 2-1 and you're stretched out trying to find an equalizer. I don't care about the third goal. Fourth goal I didn't really like because it makes it look even worse. Third goal, you're running the risk at that point. You're close to an equalizer. You're chasing it. You don't get it. You give up a goal as you're stretched. It happens. It's got to be better from the jump, though. That's the key for me. All right, that's it for the first half hour. We've got more to come. We're going to take a quick break. More of your Overreaction Monday tweets on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star, and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, October 29th. Overreaction Monday afternoon drive time edition. Jason Longshore, John Nelson, Jarrett Smith with you. John, what's next on the Twitter timeline for Overreaction Monday?
Okay, so let me give you Nathan Pugh's before we get into our next thought here. Nathan Pugh says, I wish people would shut up about the Atlanta sports narrative on yesterday. It's just a shame to perform so well through the season and have momentum whacked heading into the playoffs. Hashtag Overreaction Monday. But then Scott Moore says, how do we rebound from yesterday's loss? We haven't looked good in the last month or so. How do we find our form and confidence while playing in high-pressure matches when we haven't exactly been stellar in our big matches this year? Question mark.
What do you think, Jarrett?
Oh, I don't know. First thing is get healthy, and you've started doing that. And one of the things I don't like falling back on injury excuses. I really don't. And part of me wonders in the last 2 weeks if you're just kind of seeing it all catch up with guys, that you've had a slew of injuries that you're on sometimes your third or fourth option at certain points in the season, and sometimes sometimes it's obvious where you've got you're not running out the guys you want there, and you're running out a different look to make do with what you've got. I think having I was glad to see Garza get a run out. Hate to see McCann get hurt, because as much flack as McCann got yesterday, and I get it, and he has all season, I don't get it. Look, McCann was there for you. He was a rock for you when you needed him and got the job done when you needed him to. But it's good to see Garza get a run out. Good to see Tito get a run out. To have your first choice guys out there, which you haven't had most of the year, I think that would do for some confidence, honestly.
I want to push back against the narrative that Atlanta United's looked bad for the last month. I don't think that's necessarily fair. I mean, we'll work backwards. Yesterday, we'll continue to get into it. Against Chicago, no, they didn't look great. They were also missing Miguel Almiron and Tito Villalba for the first time in club history at the same time. Against New England, they controlled that game. It finished 2-1, but it was a late goal. It was a nothing goal. That was complete control and a good performance against the New England Revolution. You got beat by the best team in MLS history in their house. Not a shock. You dominated Real Salt Lake on short rest after the comeback in San Jose. Before that was Colorado with a controlling win. That's 5-2 to finish up. I don't think they've looked bad throughout that whole stretch. I think the last two have kind of colored this, and these are also the two games that Miguel Almiron did not start this season. You mentioned injuries and the wear and tear on the team overall. Joseph Martinez is the only player who started every game. You had a couple more who started 33, Jeff Lorenowitz, Brad Kazan, Julian Gressel. 3 more who started 32, Michael Parkhurst, LGP, and Miguel Almiron. Beyond that, you had a lot of mixing and matching. Franco Escobar started 20. Tito Villalba started 21. Ezequiel Barco started 19. Darlington Nagbe started 23. Chris McCann started 21. You've had a lot of injuries with this team. It does take a toll on you over time. But the biggest one is the fact that these last 2 games you haven't been able to start Miguel Almiron, who this team will go as far as Miguel Almiron can carry them right now. That's what I think Atlanta United is in 2018. I think he's that special of a player. He contributes in that many facets. And it just felt like yesterday, after the first goal was conceded, that Atlanta United was almost like trying to find Miguel Almiron in that game, like looking for him. They've got to get him back for the postseason. I've seen some of the national reports about, well, he might miss another week or 2. There's been nothing from the club to say that. And the fact that he was involved in training sessions last week make me think that he's going to be in the lineup on Sunday.
John Sosby, Jason, says it sucks to lose the Shield, which would have been the fitting trophy for the Atlanta United narrative, but it's not the trophy in MLS. Capitalization of the word "the." Now they have to put the doubt to bed and attack the playoffs. I just want to see some fire and desire. What do you guys think is lacking? ? Overreaction Monday.
It's easy to go desire and fire. I don't think there was a single player in the team who didn't want to win the Shield and didn't want to win yesterday. So, I mean, desire, we always throw that around, and you can't quantify it, and I think it's just a word that sometimes gets used when a team gets beat. I don't think the flat start had anything to do with a lack of desire. Fire's a little different word to discuss here, and you can dig into that a little bit. I felt like it took too long to see that type of fire, as John uses, that type of, I don't know, just even, I mean, you could even go like responsibility a little bit, because the team started out flat, you concede a goal, still kind of shocked after that, and you concede a second. First goal did take a deflection, by the way. Second was bad defensively all the way around. It really wasn't until the second half started that you saw Julian Gressel try to put the team on his back a little bit. Tito Villalba try to put the team on his back a little bit. You didn't see that enough in the first half. That's not a desire thing, but it is a response thing. It is a responsibility thing. You need to see that. And when Miguel Almiron's not there, that's a player that we always see that out of because of his work tracking back, the little things that give the team a spark. He didn't have that in the team yesterday, and it hurt. It's an issue. So I think the flat start was much more down to nerves than any lack of desire or anything like that.
Jared Tofka TLC. One thing I will say, Atlanta United was everyone's Mount Everest this season. We took everyone's best shot all year long and came out with 69 points. I'm upset, but that detail cannot be forgotten. Red Bulls didn't have the same target on their back this season.
I don't know about that. Red Bulls still have a target on their back, especially as the season goes on and they just keep on winning. I think they had a target. It just geared to handling games their way, and it works in that situation where it kind of gets mucked up, and they're fine with that. They'll fight you down to the slot. They don't care. I mean, yeah, you got a target on your back. It happens. Got to learn to play with it, and you did at times. You played really well at times this year with it, and I don't mean to talk about it like the season's over and we're completely done here, but you're gonna be 1v1 with a target. Basically, pistols at dawn from 10 paces coming up 2 weeks in a row here. And, you got to get the job done on that front. But, I mean, they were always going to have a target on their back, and I think they'll continue to have a target on their back because of the way that the club is constructed by everything that, it gives you. So American Soccer Analysis had them listed out and referred to them as the Marsha Brady of MLS. So, I mean, you're going to get the association sometimes. You're going to get you're gonna get the target. It's that simple. I mean, you got to learn to live with it. I mean, what are you gonna do? Yell about it till it goes away? You got to learn to live with it. You got to learn to play with it.
Atlanta United wants that target. That's the life that Atlanta United wants. Otherwise, you'd be Minnesota. You'd be a nice, average, nondescript team that is just happy to be here. That's not what Atlanta United wants to be. So, target's not going away. Miami will get a target when they get here. Red Bulls have that target in the postseason, and they have it now after the record that they set this year. But this is a team that I will correct you on one thing, Jarrett. This is a new season now because the playoffs are just completely different. Everything that happened this season means nothing now. It's not about style points. It's not about playing pretty. It's just about surviving and advancing. It's honestly that simple. You've got essentially 3 contests left if you keep winning. You look at each series as a contest. It's a 180-minute game in 2 spots. And you got to get through 2 of those to get to a final that's 90 minutes that if you get there, you're going to host. This is a team that only lost a handful of games this season. Bad loss in Houston to open the season, just nothing good about it. Loss against Kansas City where your goalkeeper was red carded 38 minutes in and you had control of that game before the red card. You also had a goal called back that would have given you a lead. The Red Bulls game at Mercedes-Benz, we know all about all the weirdness that happened in it. You lost that one to, again, the best team in MLS history. You lost an Open Cup game with a non-first choice lineup against the team that played their first choice lineup. Should have still put up a better performance, but you lost that one. You lost to Dallas at the end when everything fell apart in the last 5 minutes. You only lost 3 games since Dallas. I've seen the narrative going around that this team was broken after Dallas. Is 10-3-2 broken? If it is, man, I want to be broken. Like 10-3-2 after the Dallas game. You lost at DC against a team that had the hottest run to end the season. You lost it at Red Bulls, again, best team in MLS history, and you had a bad loss in Toronto to end the season. You had a bad loss to open it, you had a bad loss to end it. Again, you can't take the whole season away because of an awful 20 minutes to start this game and not finding a way back into it fast enough. That's what yesterday came down to, folks. You didn't start out well. It hurt you. You never recovered. That's what happened yesterday. That's not what happened in 33 previous games. That's what happened yesterday. This team has a chance, as John Sosby said, to win the trophy. That's what's left. Supporter Shield is a big trophy. I think it's an important one. I think it'll continue to grow in importance. It's probably the best measure of the most balanced team all season. This league is defined by who wins MLS Cup, and Atlanta United has to pick themselves off the mat and get it back together, eliminate the mistakes that led to yesterday, and win MLS Cup. That's what they have to do. That target is only going to continue to grow on their back when players start getting sold for millions and millions of dollars and new players come in for millions and millions of dollars and a manager comes in to pick up where Tata Martino is leaving off. Target's not going anywhere. That's what Atlanta United, that's the life Atlanta United chose. And that's what they have to deal with. Probably forever. That's a good thing. You want people talking about you. You don't want to be an average club that nobody talks about. I don't think Atlanta United's ever going to be that.
On that note, let's go to break.
It sounds like a plan. We'll be right back on the other side.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume. Yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
Had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency, or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here, October 29th edition, Overreaction Monday after a bad loss for Atlanta United in Toronto. 4-1. Supporter Shield goes to the New York Red Bulls as they set the record for the best season in MLS history. Atlanta tied Toronto, who had the record previously. They did not break the record. They did not win the Shield. The overreactions or underreactions or on par reactions, depending on your personal opinions, are starting to flow in. What do we have?
Lewis Martin says, we all agreed CONCACAF Champions League over Supporter Shield and MLS Cup over Supporter Shield. I have to remind myself of this.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to pick and choose, you probably would have thought that CONCACAF Champions League would have led to Supporter Shield. It nearly did. It did not. MLS Cup's a whole different animal. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm having to pick between MLS Cup and Supporter Shield, you want to win MLS Cup. I believe Mike Conti said this on air yesterday, and I would completely agree with it. There was not going to be a parade down Peachtree for the Supporters Shield. There probably will be for MLS Cup.
Yeah.
There should be anyway. Hint, hint.
Yes, down the Canyon of Heroes, yes.
Gwen agrees.
Gwen agrees. Jinx, buy me a Mountain Dew. The Colonel, afternoon Colonel, hashtag Overreaction Monday. Joseph getting a number of justified mentions for MVP. Based on hashtag Decision Day performances, he's not the MVP of his own team, probably second in the league. I
mean, yeah, Miguel Almiron has by his absence, has shown how important he is to Atlanta United. The whole narrative about other people winning MVP, I just think was ridiculous because it just feels like it was completely forgotten that nobody had ever scored 30 goals in this league. Nobody had ever scored more than 27 since year one. Two guys had equaled it. Nobody had scored more. Joseph scored more by the end of August. That's insane. You kind of have to give him the MVP by default when somebody scores like that. Was he the most important player to his team's success? You could make a really strong argument that it's Miguel Almiron, and I'm not going to argue with you about that one right now. But the Zlatan, the Wayne Rooney, the Carlos Vela would be the one that I would probably throw up next to Joseph. It was trying to create a narrative. Joseph won the MVP when he broke the record. I think it was done then.
You want. Yeah, this is like, for me, this not putting him in first for the MVP would be like if someone busted Bonds' single season record or Brady's passing TDs in a season record, something along those lines. We're talking about records that aren't supposed to fall going down and going down way earlier than you ever expected. Yeah, like, but just going down. DiMaggio kind of works. I'm thinking more along the lines of time, but like somebody hitting 74 home runs in 130 games, something along those lines. DiMaggio would work though. I mean, still like something like a record falling that is not supposed to fall. Just you tip your cap to him, to steal a Freddie Gonzalezism.
It's kind of, you kind of get spoiled watching this team week in and week out because of how good they are. Not even how good they can be, which we know that, but how good they just flat out are. Joseph had a season for the ages. We may never see anything like that again. You may never see a team win 21 games again. Nobody had done it before now. So I know yesterday was disappointing, but this season as a whole was special and was incredible. And now you have another season, a short one, but a chance to win a trophy. And Atlanta United would have to be one of the favorites. There are questions. Atlanta United has to find some answers.
Sherbs, Jarrett, says on #Overreaction Monday, I really hope that PT is as good as advertised. I thought the midfield was an interesting idea, but it just didn't work in practice. And something I haven't heard much talk of is how terrible the pitch was. Affected us early, Larry's giveaway.
Yep, pitch was unacceptable. It's absolutely unacceptable. And any field is like that in MLS. You're a growing league. You're a big league. Start acting like it. Hold your teams and hold your facilities to better standards and have better pitches. None of that's acceptable. I shouldn't have to watch a ball bounce after rolling 10 feet. As far as pity goes, because I could spend a long time going on pitches here, honestly. As far as pity goes, and I think Jason's brought it up as well, that you're not going to have Tata next year. You're having a new manager. You're going to have new tactics. The whole idea of Atlanta will stay the same. Bocanegra said as much. But how it operates in the flow of the game might be different. What he does might fit a different coach better than what, might fit what Tata wants to do with him. We just got to wait and see who it is pulling the strings and how that lines up. It could go a lot of different ways.
The pitch had a huge impact yesterday. Atlanta United couldn't play through the middle of the field. They couldn't combine at the edge of the 18 very well because of just how choppy the field was. Atlanta looked its best when it started hitting long balls over the top, trying to hit diagonal runners. And that's when Atlanta started to open the game up in the second half. A lot of that was down to the pitch. It is unacceptable. Toronto's got to figure something out. I mean, I know they share BMO Field now with the Toronto Argonauts. And the Argonauts and the Alouettes of Montreal had a big CFL game last weekend, but man, the field was just not good enough. That's something that's got to get sorted out. We're going to hold the rest of Sherbs' tweet for the other side of the break because we're up against it right now. We'll get into that. We'll get into more of your overreactions in hour number 2. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hour number 2, Soccer Down here, October 29th edition. Overreaction Monday. After a loss is always fun. And Atlanta United 4-1 losers to Toronto. Supporter Shield goes to the New York Red Bulls. The Supporter Shield was in the building in Toronto because they were the holders of it, so it would kind of make sense that it was there. The Red Bulls had to make do with a Captain America shield that they had a little fun ceremony for and lifted up, and that was pretty funny. That was some good improvisation by the Red Bulls. Let's get into the second part of Sherbs' tweet. Well, the first part, but I saved it for the second part, about Pity Martinez. There's a big difference between Pity Martinez and, I think, for a lot of people, what they expected out of Ezequiel Barco. Pity Martinez is in the prime of his career. 25, getting caps with Argentina. He's in a completely different situation than Barco, and honestly, than a lot of players in Atlanta United's team. So I agree. I think when he comes in, if he comes in next year, you're going to be looking at different expectations for him. You're going to be looking at him to carry the load, especially if the assumed corresponding move is Miguel Almiron going somewhere to Europe. And it sounds like there's a bidding war starting to erupt in England, which is always good for the bank account. So we'll see if that continues. But Martinez would come in with different expectations completely. And you also have a clean slate of a new manager coming in. So it's just going to be a different situation. I think it's hard to really dig too deep into it in terms of specifics because we don't know what kind of tweaks you're going to see to the system. We don't know if you're going to see a manager who prefers a 3-5-2, a 3-4-3, a 4-3-3, a 4-2-3-1. We don't know any of that yet. We don't know if the manager is going to bring in some players that they've worked with before, some guys that they can count on. We don't know who they're going to value here and who they're not going to see value in. It's just there's so many unknowns with a new manager that it's hard to get into. And it's hard with a new player how they're going to fit. But I think PT, if he is signed, and for the type of money that's being talked about and where he is in his career, there would be a very different expectation level for what he would do from day one.
Michael Ruiz, and since this one's addressed to you, Jason, we'll start with you first.
Sure.
Who do you start in the back on Sunday for playoff game number 1, assuming Garza and Bello are available? Include wingbacks if you think it's a 3-5-2, question mark, or closed paren, question mark, hashtag overreaction Monday.
3-5-2, Garza at left wing back, LGP, Parkhurst, Escobar, 3 center backs, Gressel at right wing back. That's how I would start it. The question for me, and I would maybe even go so far as to say dilemma, would be what you do in the midfield. I'm expecting Miguel Almiron to be there. I'm expecting Tito Villalba and Joseph Martinez to start up top. Miguel is the 10. So then you have 3 guys for 2 spots. And Jeff Larinowitz, Darlington Nagbe, Eric Remedi. All have pros and cons at this stage and what you're looking to do on the road in a game like this. Darlington Nagbe gives you a guy who can get you out of trouble. He is your most technical player. He can break through defensive pressure. He can also get out of tight spots. Eric Remedi gives you a bulldog in the middle of the field. He can cover a lot of ground, cover a lot of range. Tactically, at times, Remedi can get a little loose in terms of positioning. Jeff Larinowitz, tactically, smartest player in the team. Also coming after a bad 45 minutes in Toronto. You know, I mean, I don't think you're expecting a guy like Larinowitz in the career he's had for that to get in his head, but is that just an aberration, or is that something to be concerned about? I think you have to decide between 3 of them, and on the road in leg 1 in an Eastern Conference semifinal series, especially if we're going to assume that it's NYC, but it'd probably honestly be the same anywhere you go for me. I think it's Jeff and Nagbe, and I think you use Remedi off the bench. I think Jeff gives you tactically the surest thing here, and Nagbe gives you the ability to get out of trouble. You use Remedi depending on what you need in the second half. That's the way I would look at it, and I know some people are going to argue about that because of Jeff's performance yesterday, but I think in the 3-5-2 and wanting to limit danger from the opposition, Jeff as the 6 in front of Lorenowitz, Parkhurst, Escobar, I'd trust that a little bit more on the road in leg 1.
All right. And Jarrett, what are you thinking formationally?
I mean, if we're going to play in that back 3 game that we're talking about, it's LGP, Parkhurst, and Escobar for me. If Garza can go, man, it's Garza on the left. Garza as a wingback is a really fun prospect. We really didn't get a lot of this year, to be honest. I'm very curious to see what the diagnosis is with Chris McCann, because, look, I get it, man. The Chris McCann patrol is out like Dr. Frankenstein level or Frankenstein level, whatever. But Chris McCann's a guy I would not mind having, even if you do. I'm not starting him over Garza, but if I can have a guy like McCann come in late in a game and be a physical weapon, maybe a set piece weapon defensively, Chris McCann's it is a piece of a utility knife I would like to have ready if I can to come on late. Then yeah, Gressel on the right wing, just because he's been the best in the league doing it this year. You've got to have Nagbe, and especially if you go to NYC, I have to have Nagbe on that small field with a guy who can operate in tight spaces with incredible control, who can work his way out of trouble and possibly help create a break with a guy like Miguel Almiron, who you got to have out there as well. I'm fine either way with Remedi or Lorenowitz, and Jason broke it down. I mean, it depends on, I think, what you need for that situation, and I think it's going to apply. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's going to apply as importantly, if not more so, to that second game. Depending on how the first game goes, what do I need in that second game? Do I need someone who's going to be more of, a bulldog all over the field? Not to say he's going to be an enforcer, but someone all over the field. Or do I need someone who can shut it down tactically and just get the job done?
Yeah, you got to go 90 at a time right now. Without knowing what the result's going to be in game 1, you can't even get into what game 2 lineups could look like. So it's game 1, you want to limit the damage. You come out of there with a scoreless draw, you come out of there with a 1-1, you come out of there with a goal, period. You're in pretty good shape. So it's all about limiting the opportunities against a team that would be coming in on short rest.
Clayton Poss at East Football 5-0. In other sports, teams who are undefeated / really good who have really good records take losses that are statement losses, and the time that team turned the page and went on to be successful. Please tell me this is a possibility, and Garza and Miggy can pick this team up. #Overreaction Monday.
100% it's a possibility. I thought Dan Gargan broke it down pretty well on the post-game show on the TV side yesterday, where, he went through it himself. 2014, the Galaxy lost the Shield on the final day, and they went on to win MLS Cup. There you go. Right there. It happens. That's the MLS side of this that is very different in the soccer world, where your regular season delivers a trophy, but it's not the trophy in all capitals. Now you have a chance to redeem yourself, and you have a chance to get it right. It's going to require some different things, I think. I think it's going to require some different approaches, but this is the opportunity for Atlanta United to get this right.
And John Nason asks, is anyone saying that they don't want a piece of Atlanta in the playoffs?
I think some people are trying to talk themselves into saying they want a piece of Atlanta in the postseason, but who would? Outside of the Red Bulls, who would say, oh, yeah, we can take them, no problem? Nobody. And don't lie to yourself and think that anybody is like, yeah, that's the weak spot in the Eastern Conference. 10 wins since July 4th. You start looking at points per game in the second half of the season, Atlanta United averaged over 2 points per game in that span of time. Only a couple of teams did that. Yes, the Red Bulls are one of them. Seattle is another. Seattle is out of the knockout round. Craziness. That's the Western Conference in 2018 for you. But nobody's sitting there like, yep, that's a weak link in the Eastern Conference, Atlanta United. We want to take them. Nobody's saying that.
So Swixter then asks, who do we want for a home and away? NYC, DC United, Philly, or Columbus? Hashtag Overreaction Monday.
Columbus. No questions asked. You want Columbus because they're coming in the worst form. Outside of Columbus, Philadelphia, I mean, obviously they were the 6th team out of the 6. You would probably think, okay, take our chances there. And they're a team that Atlanta United's had really good success with, and I think Philly is on the way up. I don't think they're quite there yet. I worry about their young defense in these moments, as we've talked about with Atlanta United. You know, Philly's back line has not been in this situation before. How are they going to handle it? We'll have to wait and see. You take those two out of the equation. DC United was one of the hottest teams in the second half. They had a home-heavy schedule that helped. They signed a guy in Wayne Rooney who's kind of good. They got Russell Knaus back, who's kind of good. And they got Bill Hamid back, who's kind of good. So these things help. NYC, they struggled in the second half. They just got Yangel Herrera back. We'll see how much of an impact that is. And the Red Bulls, we know the Red Bulls. So not any easy matches coming up, but if you get to pick, you'd love to see Columbus and Philly pull upsets in the knockout round, because that's the only way you're going to see either one of them. You'd have to have both of them win in the knockout round to see Columbus, because you're not going to see Philadelphia.
Quickly before the next Swixter point, Associate Producer Emeritus Jay Riddle says he's currently researching how to extract Julian Gressel's fire so it can be injected into the rest of the squad on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, second half, Gressel was demonstrative in trying to make something happen, and that's big. That's an important thing here. You know, that's something you need to see more of. I thought he was one. I thought Franco Escobar was one. I thought Remedi was another one. And I thought Darlington Nagbe in the first half especially was trying to kind of get out of his comfort zone a little bit and play differently and give the team what it needed. Again, and that's where I really kind of just get weird about the whole, like, oh, they didn't want it, or they didn't have the effort, or whatever. I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think once they fell behind, you wanted to see the response, and you saw it out of the guys I just mentioned. I honestly think the moment got to them, because there's really not another explanation for that. The way the team started, it just felt like the moment was really big and overwhelming. But I don't think it was a lack of effort. I did like the response from some of the guys, and you need that. I mean, Tata Martino's talked about it with Miguel Almiron. You see him working hard, and it's contagious. Gressel was trying to give you that yesterday. You know, other guys were trying to give you that yesterday, where it is obvious that they are, trying to run through a brick wall for you. That is contagious. It does help. You need that, and Gressel gave you that yesterday.
Then, let's see, next one up on the board. Let's go with Swixter again. It says, I feel like at Longshoe can't say this loud enough. And this following is all capital letters. I can't quite put the same effect on it. Toronto won the Supporters' Shield by 12 points last season with the same points total. Atlanta United is an excellent team that played an excellent season. Hashtag Overreaction Monday.
Yep. I mean, yep. I got nothing.
Matt, at Matt probably.
You'd be more in line.
Yeah.
You'd be more in
Go
line
ahead,
to
Jared.
get upset had you not. You'd be more in line to get upset had you not won 5 of your last 7 matches, including a heart stopper out in San Jose, some fringe playoff teams, and some tough performances missing guys. You didn't lose this so much as Red Bulls just played you 2 points better into a record-breaking season and what you were on the pace for as well. It's not. It doesn't have to be your failure. This is not 28-3 for God's sakes. If I see 28-3 again, I'm going to make a 28-3 balloon and beat someone to death with it.
epic collapse, failure, 28-3, all of that nonsense. Don't listen to those people, please. Like, seriously. 10-3-2 since July 4th. Since the loss in Dallas that, I guess, somehow crippled this team's psyche forever. 10-3-2. Stop. Epic collapse. Stop. It's not what happened. The Red Bulls were a better team in the end by 2 points. Period. Before last season, any team that had achieved 69 points in a regular season would have won the league. Guess what? It never happened before. So, yeah. Epic collapse, no. No. Choke job, no. No.
Jarrett at Matt Probably on Twitter. Well, Matt Probably on Twitter. I wonder if there's a Matt Definitely, or if he refers to himself as that. In discussing the dynamic of wins and losses this year and showing up. Matt says, I don't know, we've shown up in some big games with weird outcomes. We were running circles around Red Bulls before the Gazan Red earlier this year, and the 2-2 tie against NYCFC wasn't necessarily unlucky, as both teams were in amazing form at the time, but Atlanta United played incredibly.
The Gazan was the Gazan Red was Kansas City. And the Kansas City game, go back and watch that game. Go back and watch Kansas City drag that game down to a snail's pace because they couldn't run it. Because they had to bring it down to pace because Atlanta was going to run them out of the building if they weren't careful. They did the smart thing. Vermes did a really good job in the middle of that game and the team did a good job of dragging that down because they were not going to be able to run with Atlanta. And the engine was revving for Atlanta hard.
Kansas City is a team that thrives on possession, and Atlanta had 57 or 58% of the possession before the Gazan red card.
You also almost still won that game, if not for Tim Melia making 2 save of the week caliber saves. Just throwing that out there. You were up 2-0. You were set to be up 2-0 on Red Bulls and run them out of your own building, except for the weird Joseph thing. Then the questionable penalty with Bradley Wright Phillips, who just played the veteran role really well with a young center back. Someone asked about, where did they play a big game? LAFC came in here, and that was a huge game. That was a nationally televised game that everyone hyped up about, the new hotness versus the old hotness. And Atlanta handled LAFC. And, if you want to revisionist history it and, kind of ho-hum it, the hype on that game was huge. That game was a big talking point, and Atlanta came in and just got the job done. They got up, and then they absolutely buried them late. So, they've showed up for some big games before. It's not like they wilt in every single big game. The last 2 haven't gone well. I get it. If you have questions, I completely understand. But don't discount the work they've done previously.
And on that note, Jason, another topic is on the board, but let's go to break before I talk about it.
All right, we'll do that. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative. And that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Welcome back, Soccer Down here. October 29th edition of the show, Overreaction Monday. We're getting into the Twitter timeline and going deep into some rabbit holes. What do we have next, John?
Okay, Sean just reemphasized a point that you made on the broadcast yesterday at Sean Aber _. I feel like Nagby deserves more credit along with Gressel for trying to pick up the torch Almiron put down.
Yeah, Nagby was our man of the match on the radio broadcast yesterday, and we just talked about it going through some of the players who showed out. I mean, I thought Darlington as a 10, it's not his most comfortable position. He tried to take advantage of the space and drive the team forward in the first half, especially after the team fell behind. It's just a little awkward for him in terms of the way he plays, and this is something that people have wanted him to be for his whole career, but his mentality is not that. He is a linking player, not a playmaker exactly. He did a good job and put in a good shift yesterday. It's just not necessarily his game.
Then Jarrett Shorty 06911. I guess that might be a zip code. The problem is that this loss was severe in the way the team played. In my humble opinion, it was equivalent to the first game of the season against Houston. One would think that the team would realize there are no gimmies at this level, regardless of the spot on the table. We, the fans, the supporters, believers, know that this is well in them to rip the end up and leave everyone in the dust. They have to believe the same thing.
I don't think they think there are gimmies in this league. Professional athletes, I mean, they know that even the worst team in the league has professional athletes that are better than 98% of the humans on this planet in terms of that particular skill set. If you want a positive thing, look, this team has not lost back-to-back games in a very long time. So whether that's a draw or whether, if you want to extrapolate that out to next weekend and assume they either win or draw against whoever they play, that puts you in a heck of a driver's seat going into your next match. So if you want to find something positive to extrapolate, there you go.
Let's see who else is next in line here. Okay. Katie Weaver talked about grass, and let's see. I'm trying to shuttle through because there's a lot of them here.
The grass was very bad.
Yes, it was. No question.
Very bad. I think it's worse than Wembley Stadium today, and that's saying something.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Brock at Rock the Brock G. Should Atlanta United reach out to Lopetegui?
Sure. Kick the tires. I worry about his confidence at this moment because, man, it's been a wild ride for him, hasn't it? We'll talk to Nick Alifi about that in the Soccer Over There third hour of the show today. But yeah, I mean, you go from a World Cup favorite day before the tournament to being asked to leave because you've already taken another job to not even getting through the first half of the La Liga season and getting pounded by your rivals.
Oh.
Bad times. So, I mean, you could have a conversation, but I don't know if I think he could probably use a break.
I think this is the first time we've ever teased another hour, like a secret third or fourth hour.
Like legitimately. I know.
Yeah. True.
It's crazy.
Jarrett, we got into the discussion earlier as to which team, the question was posed, I want to say by the Swixter, as to what team Atlanta United should want to play in the next round. And Skull at NSC_fan says, I say Columbus. First of all, we can't get Philly because they play Red Bulls. NYCFC's really made for some tough games against us. DC could definitely crush us at home. We beat Columbus by 2 goals, both on the road and at home this season, and they're not on good form.
Yeah, you did that last year to them too, and look what happened. Just saying. Look, I'm actually kind of look. If we got to play this game, if we're going to play this game, and I'm fine playing this game, I want zero problems with Philadelphia. I don't care that they've lost 2 games in a row. The first one was on a dubious penalty to Red Bulls where they looked good, and then yesterday was a tough game. One tough game does not a run make, because they've been reaping souls lately. I mean, all of these teams are rough. I'd rather take Columbus or DC just because neither one of them play in a sandbox-sized field. DC, hey, we talked about pitch. DC, you're going to have to contend with again, because they're going to do the same thing they did last time and grow that grass out where you cannot play your short, quick game, and you're going to have to play over the top, and you're going to have to make the adjustments. And we're going to see what kind of adjustments you get made if that's the situation you end up in. And Columbus, just because you beat them twice in the regular season doesn't mean a thing. And you know what? Same thing applies when it gets to a playoff situation with if you end up making it through to Red Bulls, all that goes out the window with Red Bulls in the past. None of it matters. You've got 2 games to make it up.
Joey Logan says NYCFC. Jason and Jay Kalani Prescott says Columbus, DC, NYCFC in that order. We handled Columbus twice this year. As not great as NYCFC were at the second half, I do not want to have to go to that field, in quotation marks, and have to get a result. I'd rather go to Audi Field and get another shot at DC.
Yeah, Columbus is just coming in with no confidence. They're coming in the worst form. So if somehow Columbus and Philadelphia both win in the knockout round and you get the Crew, you're happy. You're very, very happy. It's likely going to be NYC or DC United, and both present challenges, but both are also teams that you can get results against. NYC, you look at the numbers. This has been a very even series from day one. DC has been a different series this year, but you lost in your trip to Audi Field. I think Atlanta United can play better than that. I think DC is a team that Atlanta United can limit some of their chances with. I think NYC is probably the more damaging one because of the field and because of how different it is and how much of a challenge it is and how much of a home field advantage it is for NYC. But either way, you're going to be seeing a team on short rest, and that does give you a bit of an advantage in their home leg, and you have to make full use of it. You have to get a result in the first game.
Going through the notion of Atlanta United being everyone's Mount Everest this season, Swickster says that Atlanta United had a target almost all season. Red Bulls didn't gain their target until at least August when NYCFC lost theirs. And Associate Producer Jay Riddle Emeritus, Associate Producer Emeritus Jay Riddle. He was not Jay Riddle Emeritus. He's Producer Emeritus Jay Riddle.
I was confused.
Yeah, Red Bulls had CONCACAF Champions League to contend with. Seems more daunting than an imaginary target, and they still ended with the best regular season finish in MLS history.
Thoughts, Jarrett?
I mean, they did a great job. I don't want to take anything away from Red Bulls. They balanced all that really well. I'm so perplexed, because I still think about that Red Bull series in CONCACAF Champions. What were you doing, Mr. Marsh? So confused by that series, but hey, it's part of that system. They can plug guys in and go, and they do a good job of it. They did really good job of it for a stretch in the late half of the season where, you got Brian White starting games and, bumbling home goals. And they had a couple games where you're like, I don't know how they got 3 points out of some of those games. There was black magic involved probably, but good on them. They can just plug guys in and go.
Yeah, you just don't plug in Bradley Wright Phillips as a 10 and leave Kaku on the bench. I don't think Chris Armas is going to make that mistake.
Last thought for this particular segment. Apparently, something called Get French Football News says
they tweet stuff.
Yeah. And certain not representatives would prefer to end the loan of Chelsea defender Matt Miazga early this January. So poor have his performances been, according to the well-connected Mohammed TERP.
I'm not up on my French league. I'm not up on Matt Miazga at Nantes, but I think he dropped. I think he was dropped from the team this past weekend.
Yeah. He says he looked, and Miazga played all 90 minutes in 8 straight matches, going 1-4-3. Nantes only scored 7 goals total in that span. 3 of those 7 in a single game that they won. 4 goals across 7 games. They should be thanking their lucky stars to have 3 draws.
Yeah, I don't know. Strange.
Yes, very. That's why I wanted to end the segment on that particular note.
We'll end with the strangeness. We will take a break. We will come back with more Overreaction Monday commentary after this.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Welcome back. Soccer Down Here. Overreaction Monday. More thoughts. John, what's up?
Okay, let's start this particular segment with Shiva, who says, are there any concerns that Tata has not won championships? I feel maybe the lack of energy, our fatigue, and also our lack of organization is sometimes our lack of leadership.
Tata Martino's won championships. I've seen this before. This is not just Shiva's tweet that is getting this wrong. Tata Martino has won 5 league championships. 4 out of 5 years in Paraguay with Libertad and Cerro Porteño, 2002 to 2006. He won every title but the one in 2005. 3 of those with Libertad, who hadn't won a title since 1976. And then he went to Newell's Old Boys instead of taking the Columbia job at the time, and took a Newell's team that was about to get relegated and won a championship in the league with them, their first title in quite a while. So he's won titles. At Barcelona, he was a league runner-up, a runner-up in the Copa del Rey. He won the Super Cup. Not really a big trophy there. Didn't win Champions League, obviously. Not a bad year by most people's standards. And in Argentina, back-to-back Copa America runners-up. I saw at one point somebody was trying to link the 2014 World Cup to Tata Martino. He wasn't there. That was Alejandro Sabeja. So he's won titles. He's had teams in position to win tournaments, win trophies. The Paraguayan national team was never a team that could win the World Cup or the Copa America, and he took them further than anyone expected. I think this thing about Tata Martino can't win trophies is extremely overrated and just flat out wrong. Organization, all these things. I mean, Tata Martino is one of the best managers to ever work in Major League Soccer. It's only going to be 2 years that we see him. He wants to end with a trophy. I think everybody wants to end with a trophy for him. He's got to get the job done now. I think he has done some amazing things with his team from scratch that it's just incredibly difficult to do. He's done them. Now, this project is coming to an end for him, and you want to see it end on a high note. The concerning thing is now that it is very clear that it's coming to an end, although, again, I don't think it caught anybody by surprise when it was announced. it wasn't a great first match after everything was announced that this is it for Tata Martino in Atlanta. So that's a concern. But the fact about his managerial skills and ability to win, those kinds of things, I think that's trying to create something that's not there.
And let's see. Brian Sims, with his choices, agrees on Columbus. He says Columbus, Philly, then NYCFC. DC may be the best team in MLS right now. Them or Seattle are in the best form.
DC's up there. Yeah. I mean, they have not lost in quite a while. So, yeah, you'd have to consider them a team that you really don't want to see. But, hey, this is the postseason. This is where we're at. There are not going to be any easy matches going forward, even if it's Columbus. They're going to have a lot to play for, because if Columbus gets there, that means that they pulled an upset on DC United at Audi Field. That means they're going to have a lot of confidence. That means Philadelphia pulled an upset on NYC. That means Columbus is going to look at it like, man, we were the Eastern Conference finalists last year. There's no reason why we can't be that again. Let's do this. So you're going to have a Columbus team that is confidence all the way back. It's going to be a challenge for it to beat Columbus, but yeah, based off their current form, they're the ones I'd like to see, but I don't think anything's going to be easy for the rest of the way.
And let's see. I think we're pretty much caught up on everything that has happened here in the timeline. So you have, folks, before we merge into the Soccer Over There hour, you've got about 20 minutes to send in your stuff. What?
No. Associate producer Emeritus Jay Riddle wants to argue about me saying choke is not appropriate. He said, why avoid the word choke? The word choke is generally defined as any decrease in performance under pressure. In the end, it's just semantics so long as we dispel the narratives that one match erases Atlanta United's successes in a historically competitive season.
Okay.
If you want to say yesterday in the first 20 minutes was a choke, I'm not going to argue with you, because, yeah, that's the description. I was saying it in the sense that people have said this is a 28-3 type of choke about losing the Shield. And no, that's not the case. 5-2 in the last 7, all of the things. You never had a commanding lead on the Shield anyway. All of those things, that's why it wasn't a choke to lose the Shield. Yesterday, the opening of the match, didn't look good at all. Looked like they were having a decrease in performance under pressure.
So now you have 20 minutes to send in your thoughts and ideas for Overreaction Monday. And then reminder, bottom of the hour is when we start Soccer Over There. Obviously, the two large topics that will start things off in the Nick Alifi soliloquy that is usually his opening monologue are the firing of Lopetegui and obviously the tragic news out of Leicester City with the helicopter crash where their owner perished in that along with 4 other folks. So two big topics to start things off with Soccer Over There. That is at the bottom of the hour, 6:30 Eastern if you're listening live. And don't forget to download the SDH apps, both iOS and Android. Listen on Spreaker. And we've got to figure out who won the Fantasy League, because I think that ended this week, didn't it?
I believe so.
So we have a winner in the Fantasy League. Thanks again to Jason Wright and the Jason Wright Agency and our friends at Country Financial for being one of the big sponsors here for the show and for the Fantasy League. And thanks to the over 100 of you that participated in the league this year. And it was a fun exercise for everybody to hop on and trade some smack and get into the finals and get into their version of the sprint to the Nextel Cup, which ended this past week, I think. And so we'll catch up with the commissioner and see what the results were.
Because there's no more regular season. So, yes, it ended.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there might be math involved.
No, there's no math involved. No. It's all automated, John.
But haven't there been adjustments with math in the past that have caused some scoring changes, like on Mondays and Tuesdays early on in the season?
Probably very minor, not on Tuesday, because it doesn't take that long. It's like when assists are changed or things. So it's pretty much decided.
Provided no assists were changed, we have a winner in the fantasy league. So once again, thanks to everybody who was a part of that, and thanks to the commissioner for sponsoring that this year, and looking forward to doing that again next season.
So you go check out the fantasy league and tell us who our winner is. I will tell you why I don't know who won the fantasy league. It was kind of a hectic day yesterday on my end. We didn't talk about it on the broadcast.
No,
and
we haven't talked about Travel
Chronicle. Yeah, it was a 6:10 in the morning flight to Toronto, and I was not on that flight because I got a flat tire going to the airport.
Okay,
that was loads of fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun changing a tire a little bit before 5 o'clock in the morning. Get the donut on. It's not looking good. I've already checked the flights at this point, so I know there's another flight. I know I'll be okay. I called. There was plenty of room on that flight. I knew I was going to be all right. Get the donut on. Drive to the airport. Missed it. Probably got into the international terminal. I want to say it was like 10 to 6. So I didn't miss by much, but yeah, missed it. So then I also missed the ticket counter because Air Canada didn't have another flight till the one I was getting on. So I couldn't leave. So I had to wait to talk to him at the ticket counter before people came back so I could get bumped over to the next flight. I'd already talked to everybody at corporate, but for them to change it on their customer service number, it would have been like $300 or something to change the flight. And I'm like, no, I'm going to talk to the people at the ticket counter and hopefully they will be helpful. And they were. Air Canada was awesome. The Air Canada agents were Atlanta United fans, so that was very cool. They were very happy that the team flew Air Canada to Toronto the previous day. And they got me taken care of, and I got on the plane and got to Toronto. And then as we're headed to the stadium, straight from the airport, traffic. It was not good. It was very bad. The lift ride, the time in the lift doubled while I was in the car. Not good. So the AT&T countdown to kickoff, as it was recorded, I got there about 10 minutes before it was recorded. So yeah. There you go. Get to the gate. And this was the best part about it. Get to the gate and get to the media entrance. And I'm trying to find out where the credentials are so I can get my credentials so I can go in the media entrance. And I get to the gate and I ask, where are the credentials? And the guy at the gate didn't know. And I said, are they inside? Is there somebody I can talk to? And he said, you don't have a credential. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get my credential. I'm trying to get in. It's been a long day. First? And he's like, well, you got to call somebody. And I'm like, well, okay. So I had to get somebody to rescue me. The Toronto FC staff were great and got in place and called a game. And it was a long day.
Okay. So before we go to break, here's your final standings in the fantasy league for Soccer Down Here. Blackhall Bombers, Cram, is your winner at 1,371 points. Bryant finished second with Goldmine, 5 points behind. 1 point behind that at Andy Watkins, 80. Homies Before Dark finished at 1,365. Don't Var Me Bro at 1,344. The Cam Do Attitude was fifth at 1,328, followed by Whale Oil Beef Hooked. FC Mara, the commissioner himself, the Jason Wright Agency, finished eighth. Darren Eel's Dream Team with Jackson Popkin finished ninth. And Las Cucarachas rounded out the top 10 at 1,278 points. Of the 114 folks that joined the league, we want to thank each and every one of you 111 that were not me, Jason, or Jared.
Gracias, amigos y amigas. Much appreciated.
That too.
We're going to take our final break in the Soccer Down Here portion of the show, and we'll come back, wrap up any Overreaction Monday conclusions from the peeps out there before we turn it over to Nick Alifi and Soccer Over There at 6:30. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The average time a resume spends on an HR manager's desk is 7 seconds, and most of them are tossed aside. Now imagine if one of those resumes belonged to Yasmin, who was
living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
We rely so much on a resume, Yet it could never tell the full story of someone who
had to be independent and take initiative, and that's how I handle every project I get.
Discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org. Brought to you by Grads of Life and the Ad Council.
We know that every driver is different, and a one-size policy does not fit all. That's why Country Financial offers a variety of discounts, so you get the coverage you need and the savings you deserve. From good driver to good student, multi-policy to multi-car, we've got a discount to suit every driver. Call Jason Wright at 678-568-6871 today to see what you could save. On Facebook at Jason Wright Agency or by phone at 678-568-6871. Discounts vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, or Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look, flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Appolinsky & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Appolinsky at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Appolinsky is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Final segment, Overreaction Monday here on Soccer Down Here. Regular season is over. Atlanta United finished second in Major League Soccer with 69 points. The New York Red Bulls win the Supporters' Shield after defeating Orlando City on the final day of the regular season, 1-0. Atlanta needed a win to secure the Shield. They lost in Toronto 4-1 on the final day. Not the finish you would like to see if you are Atlanta United. But the good thing about this is, yes, the players approached it like a final, but it is not the final. The final. It is not that. It is an opportunity now for Atlanta United to pick themselves up and show a little bit of that grit, that heart that I think we've seen at times. And we saw it a lot last year with a team that fought and scrapped and clawed and got results late in games that they probably didn't deserve at times. This year, I think they've controlled more games and haven't been in as many of those situations. But this is the postseason. This is where we're at now. Everything is more difficult. Everything is more of a challenge. So that's where we're at, people. That's where Atlanta United's at. I kind of like that they get a challenge going into the postseason now. We get to see really how strong this team is mentally. We truly get to see what they're made of after a result like that. Couple more tweets we'll hit before we finish up. Shiva said, one last thought on the game. Almost seemed like the first and second goal came from the same side, exactly the same way. We need to communicate better, making the same mistake twice. A little different. The first one was really created by the just bad decision to make that pass from Lorenowitz. And yeah, I think the field might have been a little choppy and affected it, but it was a bad decision to make the pass, period. And everything stretched out. It also takes a deflection off of the, I believe, calf or heel area of Leandro Gonzalez-Perez, beats Gazan. Second one, I have no idea how that broke down. Chris McCann was in the middle of the field, not out wide. The shape was all out of whack. There was nobody there. So the second one, I'll agree on communication. The first one was more of an individual mistake, and the team's exposed, and there's really not much you can do there. Let's see. What else do we have? Chris McCann. Lots to talk about Chris McCann, and Jarrett made his case earlier. We don't know what the injury is for McCann. We probably won't know till later in the week, but he's struggled for pace here in the second half of the season, really more so the last month or so. Chris McCann has been a big part of this team, especially this year. I think he really found a role in terms of just holding things down on the left side when Garza went down and Ambrose went down, and you needed some veteran experience, and you got it. And I thought Chris McCann put up some very good performances as the season went on. The end of the year, though, it's been a struggle for him. He didn't look good last week. He struggled here before the injury as well. We don't know when that injury happened or when that started to have an effect, but I think it's a big challenge now for his role going forward this season. If Greg Garza is back and can give you 90, and he gave you close to it yesterday, I think he's your guy. I think he is your starter going in. I was happy with Greg Garza. I think for a guy who hadn't played since the Red Bulls match at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, he looked fine. I don't think there's a problem with Garza at this point. So Greg Garza is likely your guy. If you did not hear yesterday, and I have not watched the TV broadcast back yet, so I don't know if Kevin and Dan and Jillian talked about it. I'm sure they did. We talked about it on radio. Andrew Carlton, George Bello, both had knocks in training on Thursday, and that's why they were not in the 18 in Toronto. Both were not ready to go in that one. So nothing major. Their day-to-day, it was contact injury, nothing muscle or hamstring or anything like that related that you're worried about. It's just recovering from it, and they weren't ready to go on Sunday. So that eliminated the possibility of Bello getting the start, and if you didn't feel like Garza was ready to give you 90, that's why Chris McCann got the start here. He gets injured first half. Greg Garza comes in and gave you a good run out. I thought Garza was solid. So I would imagine he is the guy on November 4th because of that. I don't think McCann will be ready to turn around that quickly, and you'd like to have Garza's veteran experience in the first leg of the playoffs on the road. The knockout round is very different than what Atlanta United's about to face. The knockout round, historically, home teams have had a huge advantage in it. We didn't see that here in Atlanta last year. We didn't see the Columbus Crew score a goal from the run of play. They won the penalty shootout, but we didn't see Atlanta get the win in that one. Generally, home teams win in the knockout round. It's the higher seed. You get that opportunity to host after a crazy decision day for most teams. It's a big advantage. First leg of the two-game series, honestly just the two-game series, semifinals and finals of each conference, it's a 50-50, really. It's not easy to get through it no matter where you're seated because of just the spectacle, the pressure, the challenges that come up. It's not going to be easy for Atlanta United. It's not going to be easy for the New York Red Bulls. It's not going to be easy for Sporting Kansas City or Seattle, the teams that do get a bye out of the knockout round. But those are your four that you would expect to get there and to make it and to be able to win these series. Away goals do count. So in these semifinals, the teams that get the bye will go on the road in game one. Goals on the road, I think some people, and for hardcore fans, you guys get this, but if you're new, I think sometimes the way to explain it is that away goals count double, and that's not it. It's a tiebreaker. So they're valuable. They're more valuable than home goals. But the most important thing in the series is to not give up a goal, period. And that's what it comes down to for me. Atlanta United has to get back to the shutdown defense that we've seen at times this season, where Brad Gazan was reeling off clean sheets. Leandro Gonzalez-Perez and Michael Parkhurst looked like two of the best center backs in the league. Franco Escobar has had a good first season, a good first campaign with Atlanta United, playing on the right side, also playing as a center back. You need to get back to that. I think the 3-5-2 is the way to do it. I truly do. I think it's the safest way to approach these knockouts, or these conference semifinals and the conference finals if you get there. I think it gives you a little more security. I think it gets more people in dangerous positions. It takes a little pressure off Greg Garza as he's getting his rhythm back. It puts Julian Gressel in his best position out wide as a wing back, even better than as a right winger. It gives Joseph Martinez some support up top with Tito Villalba. It puts Miguel Almiron in a free role in the middle of the park, but a role where he can drop into the midfield and help and give you some of that recovery and that the strong tackling part of his game that he doesn't get enough credit for. He's one of the best tacklers in the league. You get that out of him in that role. I think you get more players in their best positions in the 3-5-2 right now. And I'm as surprised as anybody saying that, because when we started to see the 3-5-2, it was not sharp earlier this season. And we had seen the 4-2-3-1 so often, it felt like the team needed to play that. When they went to the 3-5-2, it felt like we were waiting for the 4-2-3-1 to come back. At this stage of the season, the way things have evolved, I think the 3-5-2 is the best way for this team to win a trophy. I think it just gives you the most security. You do sacrifice your press a little bit, but you still have ways to score goals in the 3-5-2. You're not going to do it as much with a press and causing turnovers as we saw last year. It's going to be a little different. But this is a team that I feel like is much better in possession than they were last year. Darlington Nagbe is a big part of that. Ezekiel Barco, when he's on the field, is a big part of that. Those were two of your leading passers yesterday. They keep possession. They keep the ball circulating. When you keep possession, you're able to keep the other team from creating chances as well. I feel like Atlanta United in the 3-5-2 is the way to go. Decision day was crazy. When you look at the results from around the league yesterday, it was nuts. It's not easy to do this in Major League Soccer. Go ask Dallas. Dallas lost in Colorado after taking a 1-0 lead. One of the worst teams this season. Dallas couldn't get it done. Second half of the season was a mess for Dallas. They lost more games than they won. Go ask the LA Galaxy. They're going to be able to answer a lot of questions because they're sitting at home. They had a 2-0 lead over the Houston Dynamo at home, and they lost 3-2. It's shocking that would happen on decision day. DC United yesterday. It was a struggle for them against a bad Chicago Fire team, 0-0. They weren't able to do anything more than that. It was enough. Wasn't great. Columbus had to battle with Minnesota. The Loons made it difficult for the Crew. Montreal in a must-win situation, and they lost in New England. It's not easy in Major League Soccer. Atlanta United's learned that the hard way. They have to respond now. And that's where we're at going into the postseason. A team that is one of the best in Major League Soccer history, had a chance to be the best, unable to get there, now has a lot of questions about it. People are questioning who this team is, what they're all about. Are they really as good as their record? I mean, it's kind of crazy, but that's where we are. And it's understandable. When a team loses on the final day the way they did, questions need to be asked. They should be asked. And the people who are asking questions, the people who are on Twitter and asking serious questions, that needs to happen. That's a good part of being part of this fan base. It's a valuable part of it. Just make sure you're asking the right questions. And that would be the advice I would give. This team had an amazing year. You're never going to take that away. When you get to the end of the season and everything is said and done, you're going to look back with a lot of fondness to 2018 for Atlanta United. The final day of the regular season was not good enough, and that will leave a mark. Hopefully, it will leave a mark that spurs this team on to answer these questions that are being asked of it and go on and lift a trophy on December 8th. No guarantees of that. It's not going to be easy. We'll have to see what happens. We're going to take a break. We're not done. Soccer Over There is next on the SDH network. That's pretty cool. It's the first time we've done that. So, after the break, Nick Alifi will be here with Soccer Over There. If you're new to Soccer Down Here and Soccer Over There, hang out for a little bit. We're going to talk some of the soccer around the world, get into some of the big stories. There's quite a few after a wild weekend outside of MLS, outside of the United States and Canada. We'll get into all that with Nick Alifi on the other side. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Sweet strawberry icing. You're in Goodwill, and just past that vintage denim jacket you spot miniature donut earrings. You lean in. Ah, that's the scent of shopping success. Because at Goodwill, every item you buy funds local job training and more. So bring home those donut earrings and bring home so much good to your community. Goodwill. Bring good home. Brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Soccer Down Here is sponsored by Apolinski & Associates, LLC, personal injury lawyers with over 30 years of experience. Call Steve Apolinski at 518-350-4231 or email him at steve@aa-legal.com if you need help with a wrongful death or serious injury matter. Steve Apolinski is rated one of the top 100 trial attorneys in Georgia, recognized as legal elite by Georgia Trend magazine for being one of the most effective lawyers in Georgia.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
As a business owner, you know that every year brings new challenges and opportunities. The success of your business demands expertise and focus. And Country Financial can help you keep that focus by helping ensure you have the right insurance protection in place to meet your goals. Jason Wright can help you create a customized insurance plan that has coverages designed just for your business. Give Jason a call at 678-568-6871 or reach him on Facebook at Jason Wright Agency. Coverages vary by state. Policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here on Soccer Over There. I am your host, Nick Alifi, and if you are sticking with us through the super mega Avengers version of Soccer Down Here / Soccer Over There, we really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and I want to keep the flow of Twitter questions regarding Atlanta United going, so if you would like to send those in, please continue to do so. We will get to them as we can, but there's a couple of things that we have to talk about first. It's a very, very sad story. Leicester City, if you have been paying attention to the news, for those who do not watch a ton of Premier League soccer, Leicester is a city in the heart of England. It is just east of Birmingham. It is just south of Nottingham. And for one brief moment of time, it was the center of the sporting universe. For 5,000 to 1. That was the odds when Leicester City started its Premier League journey. Thai businessman Vichai Siddharth Hanaprabha bought the team, cleared its debts. 4 years later, they're in the Prem. He would fly over Buddhist monks to bless the players. He hired Claudio Ranieri. He brought drinks for traveling supporters, bought breakfast and scarves for those on away trips, donated millions to hospitals and children's causes. But the tweet that got me when news of his death started spreading across the internet was from a person who lived in Leicester. And they said that it wasn't that he bought us pints or gave us money. It was that he chose us. And that right there says it all. So I have to give a tremendous shout out to the people of Leicester. For one moment, you guys ruled the world and proved that even the smallest teams can compete. And that is something that will never be taken away from you. That is something that will be forever etched into sporting lore. You are soccer's Rocky. You were the team that came from nowhere to win it all. And I remember watching every game that you guys played in and that blistering counterattack and thinking, oh, my God, they're really going to do this. And as Man City and Chelsea and Man United and Arsenal and all the traditional names fell to the side, it was Vardy and N'Golo Kante and the rest of the gang that really kept the sporting world fixed. So Vichai was 61 years old. The Thai billionaire was one of 5 who died when the helicopter crashed. He liked to fly his personal helicopter from his home to the training ground and to the stadium, and that's where it occurred. Their next game against Southampton has been postponed. So thoughts and prayers to the fans of Leicester City, fans over here, fans in England. It's behalf of the SDH universe. Much love and support to you all. So we now must get on to the business at hand. I will introduce my co-hosts for the show, Mr. Jarrett_Smith and Jason Longshore joining us. Gentlemen, how are we today?
We are here.
I'm awake. I'm a little surprised by that.
Jason's kind of floating through time and space right now.
It happens. I did have, and I guess this would qualify for soccer over there since it was in another country. I did have a 3-time award-winning macaroni and cheese last night after the match. That was good.
Ooh. Yeah, I need a podcast. Like, it can be like food over there or food down here or food everywhere or whatever. I need you and Conti to like put together something that basically gives us updates on the food y'all eat when you go on travels. Because, yeah.
It's not always exciting. I mean, it was mac and cheese. It was just the hotel restaurant had a really good restaurant, and it was cold, and, you know, it was kind of a bad day. So we just said, you know what? We're just going to eat here. And they had an award-winning macaroni and cheese. So it's award-winning. You got to have it.
Was it worth it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it was the best macaroni and cheese I've ever had.
Well, that's probably the same way Barcelona fans feel after watching the Clásico this weekend.
Oh my God.
And that's called a segue, ladies and gentlemen.
That right there, that was pretty masterful there, to Jared. But I have to first say, Julian Lopetegui, the former now manager of Real Madrid, his drunken kamikaze flight to oblivion has finally come to a merciful end. Released today by Real Madrid, and Santiago Solari will take over and, quote, a provisional status. They're trying to get Antonio Conte, but if you follow Juan Arango, he said that Real Madrid, guys, get this, offered Conte only a 6-month contract. So that's not going to work. So at the moment, they don't have a direct big-time manager set to fill in for Julian Lopetegui, but at this point, I'm pretty much convinced that any of the three of us could step in and probably do a better job than him. 6 wins, 2 draws, and 6 defeats. At this point, you have to wonder who's going to be the next big-time manager for Real Madrid. And Felipe Cardenas mentioned that Zizou should get an award for his timely exit from Real Madrid after they won the Champions League. If you go back and watch that game again, no one was happy except Sergio Ramos. Like, he was the only one who was positively giddy. Everyone else looked like they were like, oh, yay, smile. Okay, wait, no, we're miserable. And there were rumors circulating that in the locker room that there was something really venomous circulating there, and it hasn't really changed up to today. I don't think Antonio Conte would be the guy who you would necessarily want to come into this situation. Conte's a guy who would be trying to move to like a 3-5-2, and I don't think that Real Madrid's built for that, one. And then two, I also don't think that his training tactics are exactly up to Sergio Ramos's expectations, as Sergio probably likes to take it a little easy, and Conte is a notorious taskmaster. Guys, where does Real Madrid go from here? Because this is absolutely buffoonish at this point.
Go ahead, Jason.
Man, it's a mess. You know, I just saw our friend Brandon had an interesting tweet that he shared with us about Lopetegui's father was blasting Real Madrid for selling Cristiano Ronaldo because he said he took 50 goals from his son. Interesting way to put it, but it is true. Real Madrid's not the same team without Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, the team was absolutely 100% built to feed Cristiano Ronaldo last season. When you lose that, you don't have that focal point, it all crumbles and falls apart. And there was no new way to play. There was no development this year. There was nothing new. it just never worked. It felt like Band-Aids. So whoever comes in at this stage, you'd like to get them in soon if you're going to hire somebody, because they need time to get ready for the transfer window, because this team's not built to win anything right now. But you're probably, whoever's going to take this job, I think, would be demanding at a minimum an 18-month contract. You need a summer transfer window. You need preseason preparation to give this team something new, because right now it feels like they're still looking for Cristiano Ronaldo on the field.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that if you are a Real Madrid fan who came up during the Galacticos era, that there's no super huge transfer window buying binge coming up, because right now they are in the middle of trying to finance a $400 million renovation to the Bernabeu. And when you do that, you have to factor in financial fair play, which means you have to balance the books. And even a team like Real Madrid has its limits. So that's why you see them getting in with trying to get Palacios from River Plate, as opposed to going and trying to get Mbappe or Neymar from PSG. So if you're a manager who's going to come into that situation, it needs to be very clear. Like you said, an 18-month contract with essentially a golden parachute. It's a fully guaranteed contract. Whether you're there or you're not, you're getting paid. But also with the understanding that there needs to be a little more leeway given to the next manager, because there's not a gang of superstars coming through the door unless PSG just gets hammered on financial fair play and they have to start doing a fire sale, which is not completely out of the realm of speculation if rumors are to be believed. But at the end of the day, you have to look at, you're going to have to win with what you have. And that's not a very attractive thing right now for Real Madrid supporters or Florentino Perez. I just don't see a way that and let's talk about one other thing here. Let's talk about Thibaut Courtois, the goalkeeper, the former Chelsea goalkeeper, who essentially hit the eject button from Chelsea because he couldn't stand Conte. I saw a quote attributed to him on Twitter. Here I am, the only one who's worked with Conte and Mourinho. I left London not to have to go through something like this again. And congratulations, you are going through it again. Should Conte somehow come to a contract resolution with Real Madrid. But there's also rumors that our favorite homeboy, Jose Mourinho, may be back in the mix.
What?
And, yeah, there's rumors circulating that Florentino Perez thinks that if Conte won't take the deal, essentially that Jose Mourinho could be brought back and restore Madrid to their winning ways. But I don't think that's I don't think it's going to happen. According to a couple of British papers, Mourinho's been told that he is going to receive a $100 million transfer kitty for the winter window. I don't know who exactly you're going to go get during that window, but best of luck to him. But it looks like on all fronts that he may have won the locker room war up in Manchester. So I don't think he's going to go to Real Madrid. As we discussed before, Roberto Martinez, the manager for Belgium, he's not going to leave a coach national team job to go work for soccer's version of Henry VIII. So he's out of the picture. And that leaves Conte. So essentially he has you over the barrel, and you're going to have to pay the man what he wants, because pretty soon you're going to get into a bidding war with other teams, which we will discuss later. Guys, is there any hope right now at all in your mind for Real Madrid without Cristiano Ronaldo? Jason, I know you said the whole team was built to feed him. What is the expectation? Is it Europa League, or do you think they can get back to Champions League?
They're ninth. I mean, they're not that far out points-wise, but they're in ninth right now. That's insanity if you are Real Madrid. They're 4-4-2. 4 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. 14 goals scored, 14 goals allowed. That's not Real Madrid kind of numbers. They have to get over Getafe, Levante, Valladolid, Espanyol, Atletico, Sevilla, Alaves, and Barcelona's at the top. They're 7 points behind Barcelona. Champions League, Spain gets 4 spots, correct?
To my belief, I believe they get 4 spots.
Yeah, I think they're in the 4 category. So they're 5 points out of a Champions League spot. It's not too crazy. It's just the number of teams between them. anything's possible in Spain. I mean, the talent Real Madrid has, we know about it. It just didn't seem like it ever recovered from the transfer of Cristiano Ronaldo. And I mean, Zinedine Zidane, I think, got a lot out of the talent that he had, but was he a master tactician? No. I think he was a great man manager, and I think he kept things very simple and got the job done. He won. Somebody's got to come in and I think give them a way to play, because that seems to be what's lacking. They just don't have an identity right now.
Well, I also think they're going to have to have a conversation with Sergio Ramos and essentially force him to take a back seat when it comes to trying to govern that locker room, because it seems like there's Florentino Perez, Sergio Ramos, and the poor manager who gets caught in the middle of that dynamic and then just gets pulled apart. So I don't see any way that Conte comes in, because Ramos has already put out there that he doesn't want to work with Conte. So essentially he's persona non grata from the jump. Then you have to bring in a manager, maybe of lack of a better term, lesser quality. That's not really going to help your cause on moving up the table. So Real Madrid is, nothing's looking really good right now. Atlanta United, guys, it could be far worse. You could be sitting ninth in your league with really no hope for survival right now. And there are bigger clubs in the world who are currently dealing with that. So, go with that with what you will.
So one question I got for you, Nick, the financial fair play stuff. I mean, I know the gist of it, but looking at this, you just made a huge sale of Cristiano Ronaldo. How are you limited in the transfer market by financial fair play going forward?
So the way that financial fair play works, and for those who don't know what financial fair play is, it is the weakest, softest salary cap in the history of mankind. It is one way of looking at it. What it is that you had teams that were being bought by billionaires. They were being dumped full of cash and resources added, but it was completely an unsustainable model. You had teams that would go to the Champions League, and then the owner would sell the team and or go bankrupt, and then the team would go bankrupt. Milan, for example, at one point under Berlusconi was dealing with an average of $200 million in euro losses per year, and that's unsustainable as well, as we've seen. So what can happen is there's a couple ways that teams can make money, and that's through standard revenue, such as ticket sales, jersey sales. Just name it, like any other revenue generation that the team can do. And then there's also expenditures, player transfers, if you have to make upgrades to your stadium. If you are unable to balance your budget, UEFA will step in and they can put a transfer ban on your team, essentially saying, hey, look, we're cutting up your credit card. You can't get any new players. Or they can remove you from European competition, because the last thing they want is for a team to get halfway through European competition, go bankrupt, and then have to fail out of the tournament. So there's no reason to reward those teams to begin with. So a team like Real Madrid, even with the vast economic resources that they have, can be limited by such things as a $400 million renovation of the Bernabeu. Because it doesn't, keep in mind, Ronaldo was sold for what, 100+ million euro? That's not nearly enough to cover that. And when you start factoring in that you have other transfers that you are still having to pay for, you have to be very careful with how you spend your money. And as a result, Real Madrid is now hamstrung. So whenever we talk about this whole magical dynamic between selling clubs and buying clubs, understand that everybody is a selling club now because of financial fair play. If you need to get a player, you need to sell some players. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're trying to make a $400 million renovation to your stadium, you have to be limited in how much you could spend on the backside. So that's why Real Madrid is going to be kind of stuck where they are for the minute, and that's one of the largest arguing points against financial fair play, is that it puts an artificial cap in place, that if you are on the outside looking in, avenues like Champions League, Europa League, that's not necessarily available to you, because you can't buy the talent necessary to catapult yourself into that stratosphere. Real Madrid is an exception because of the talent they already have in place, which is why they're lucky. A team like Celta Vigo, for example, or Girona, They just have to play their way and get lucky. So it's something to keep in mind when you look at Europe and how financial fair play could affect them going forward.
The idea of financial fair play, I think, is great. You definitely want to try to keep teams from going bankrupt, as we've seen happen multiple times. But there's got to be, I think, some common sense put into it. I mean, teams should be able to invest and grow. Teams should not be punished for investing in infrastructure, like renovating stadiums. They got to get a better system here. The idea is okay. The implementation is pretty ridiculous.
Well, teams are allowed a certain amount of capital investment. The problem is like teams like PSG, where it's all capital investment, essentially means that their model's unsustainable, which is why they keep going into some level of financial fair play investigation. And that is really where we talk about the execution and why the execution doesn't work, because some teams seem to get a pass with financial fair play, which is just so European, and some teams don't. PSG seems to keep dodging the axe from UEFA. But Milan, justifiably so, they realized that the owner had monopoly money and they were going to ban them from Europa competition until the Elliott Fund stepped in, repossessed the team, and presented a plan just to get back on track. They didn't actually do it, just presented a plan in which UEFA said, okay, we'll give you a pass, you're back in. So that's really where a lot of the hate and angst come in regarding financial fair play. Because, how do you tell a team, you can't go get some top tier player because you're doing a rebuild on your stadium. If you're a Girona, that could be the difference between financial viability and being bankrupt. Just a new stadium. Look at Italy. It happens all the time. I mean, Parma went bankrupt. I mean, God, half the teams go bankrupt because they're playing in these dilapidated stadiums and they can't update the stadiums, make them modern, get more of a crowd in, present something that is wanted and desired, but it's not necessarily financially able to get just because of situations like this. So you have to make the choice between players and infrastructure. And like you said, that is a problem and something they're going to have to work with going forward.
Yeah, Rayo Vallecano. Sorry, Jared. One thing, Rayo Vallecano talking about stadiums. I mean, they haven't invested in their stadium, and it's falling apart. So, kind of stupid.
Stadium falling apart. It's a disaster zone.
Jarrett, go ahead.
I would like to snipe in on something you said earlier about Mourinho. So you mentioned Mourinho seems to have won the locker room war. Anytime there's a locker room war, it always... Am I wrong in thinking that any locker room war is a Pyrrhic victory? That when you win a locker room war, how much have you really won, and how long-term can that victory really be without just, purging the entire team?
Well, as we have frequently discussed on the DMs, Jarrett, when we talk about ancient Roman history, if you go down through the list of Roman emperors, very quickly you discover the guys who didn't win over the room and couldn't keep the room because the Praetorian Guard would quickly take them out back and install a new emperor very quickly. It's the same thing in sports. You cannot replace all of the players, but you can replace the manager. And that's something that is absolutely going to be happening at some point in Manchester United's future. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. They're going to ride with what they have. On Twitter, Brandon B says, wait, Real should have brought in either Mbappe or Hazard last summer transfer window. Yeah, but at the same time, you were still looking at that $400 million renovation that you have to start preparing for. So it's like we're going to buy a new car or a new house. We have to get that down payment ready. You have to start saving in advance. It's the same thing. And Hazard wasn't necessarily ready to make that move. And if Conte goes, I'm just letting all you Real Madrid fans know that you're not getting Eden Hazard should Antonio Conte end up with Real. Another.
I was about to say, which Hazard are we talking here?
Yeah, Eden Hazard. No, not Thorgan. Eden Hazard.
About to say.
So Another coach who seems to be getting a little bit of an extension on life would be Gennaro Gattuso with AC Milan. We're going to be jumping over to Italy. They had an absurd comeback versus Sampdoria, but still, if Conte doesn't sign with Real Madrid, he's sort of the linchpin right now in the coaching world, at least over in Europe. If he doesn't sign that deal with Real Madrid, he could be in the works for Milan. But Di Marzio, who is essentially the Woj for Italian soccer, says Roberto Donadoni is probably the most likely replacement for some reason. And David Amayal pointed this out as well, that Milan just seems to go back to its former players as managers. For some reason, they can't go and get like, hey, let's go get Steve from down the street. But yeah, he played for Inter. No. We can't have him. Go call Gennaro Gattuso instead. So it just Milan has to work this out because they have to come out and give Gattuso either the nod through the rest of the year, or they just need to go ahead and get rid of him and make that doubles deal with Conte to get him in. But I would like to see, I'd like to see Cesare Prandelli, but I don't think that's going to happen. But there's no way that Donadoni would be an improvement for Milan, just like there's no way that Conte would be a tremendous improvement for Real for the exact same reason. You're not going to have a transformative person coming in the door. You're just having a caretaker. So that you just need to stop right there on that. Juve, meanwhile, they are the unstoppable, terrible monster which cannot be defeated at the moment. And the worst part is, guys, they're getting better. So Allegri is known for starting slow, and at this point, Juve seems to be arming up and preparing for all-out war now that Ronaldo is scoring goals at will. I don't know. Is there anybody else in the Champions League so far that looks like they scare you more than Juve?
Nobody I can think of. We do have another voice we can add to this and answer this question. John?
Oh, let's see. Who do I think is going to scare Juve? I mean, didn't I say Juve from the absolute beginning in all of this anyway? So
I believe you did, sir.
I believe I'd be going against my chalk pick if I was saying that there's anybody else who could threaten. Maybe a healthy Manchester City, maybe a Liverpool, but I don't really see a whole lot of folks that are going to be in that Fab Four.
Yeah, to me, Juve is the most complete team right now in Champions League. When, you have teams that have a tremendous attack, maybe a stout midfield, but very, very, very few teams. I mean, let's look at Barcelona. Barcelona has a fantastic attack. They have a great midfield, but their defense is very suspect. If you look at like PSG, they'll be lucky to make it out of the attack. And there's a locker room war brewing there as well. PSG.
PSG.
I want you to go back. If you guys have the ability to, like, if you have Bleacher Report Live and you can go back and watch PSG play, watch the dynamic between Mbappe, Neymar, and Cavani. They will cut him out of play no matter what's happening, no matter where the ball is. The ball's in the 18, rolling right to Cavani for a one-time, and Neymar steals it off of his foot. So
that's teamwork.
That sounds healthy.
Yeah, it's completely healthy and normal. So PSG, in my mind, is a walking disaster zone. They'll be lucky to get out of the group, period. Barcelona, to me, still looks really good. If they can figure out what to do with that defense. But right now, there's nobody better than Juve. And for Serie A, Inter is currently sitting at 2. They had a win day. Napoli sitting at 3. If you're trying to get into European soccer, Serie A is it right now because it is so tight outside of Juventus between Inter, Napoli, and Lazio. Milan is creeping up. They were like down at 10 and now up at 5. So the parity's there, the excitement is there, the crowd is absolutely nuts, and you get fantastic soap opera style drama like this. Inter played Lazio, and if you remember last year, or if you're just coming into this, Inter played Lazio last year for a Champions League spot. Essentially, it was a play-in game. Well, Stefan De Vrij for Lazio had already agreed to a transfer to Inter Milan. Now, you can agree to a transfer without having it officially processed. But essentially everything's said and done. And of course, the announcer's curse. My God, how bad would it be if something happened and Stefan de Vrij was the turning point in this game? Well, absolutely happened. Asteroid hits, lightning strikes, and Stefan de Vrij gets causes a key penalty, which allows Inter to go forward and win the game. Well, they play today, and Luciano Spalletti, the manager for Inter, says, "I'm leaving out Stefan de Vrij today because he's too sensitive." Quote, in quote.
Too sensitive.
He's too sensitive.
Child, please.
Child, please. So, guys, I love Serie A. I don't think it's any big secret, but ESPN Plus makes it so insanely accessible. And thanks to Felipe Cardenas and Jason, I'm also getting into Argentine Super League. You can find that on Fanatis.com.
That's just dangerous.
Oh, my God. It is. I will not talk about the teams that have caught my interest thus far outside of Boca Juniors for Guillermo Barros-Schelotto. But I will just say that it is absurdly fun. So that's something that you should absolutely check out. Guys, is there anything on the international radar that's catching your eye before I ask for a group rant?
Wow, catching my eye.
I mean,
other than that great pitch that Tottenham and Manchester City played on today, that looked like the LA Coliseum from yesterday. The paint job at the LA Coliseum yesterday for the Rams game, you still could see the Trojan logo underneath the Rams helmet at the 50. And you still had the same thing today in London, where the grass was so bad where they laid down all of the tarps so the NFL teams could stand and rest their cleats, that it looked like, it just looked like a green that hadn't been aerated for 6 months, and it was just awful, kind of like BMO Field.
If you ever need an indication as to the size you need of a soccer field versus a football field, go look at a shot someone took from the inline of that stadium, and you can see where the football lines line up counter to the soccer lines. And you just see the amount of size that you need compared to a football field and how much more width you get to play with.
I just don't want to hear any more from the purists, right? Like, oh, Europe knows how to do it. Europe knows how to do it. Because between, Real Valloid and then this mess here, everybody has crappy pitches around the world. It's not like the U.S. has the lock, stock, and barrel, like we have the monopoly on crappy surfaces. I'm tired of hearing it. I mean, it happens. It's all over the place, right? Just fix it.
It's bad, Jerry. It's bad.
It's bad, Jerry. Just fix it. If you're a team owner, fix it. Fix the damn turf. It's not that hard. I get it that, in Atlanta, we have the infamous plastic pitch, right? Which all the other teams love to just drive.
But all you have to do is scrub it, and it's good to go.
Yeah, it's good to go. But let me tell you something. You don't have chunks of it ripping up in the middle of the game that you have to stop play for. You don't have football lines on it. You have the ability to change it over from soccer to American hand egg throw ball very quickly. Keep talking trash about it because it's the future. You already have teams in the Netherlands that are going to synthetic, half synthetic, half grass pitches. You have it around the world. It's growing more and more. Now, I'm just telling everybody, fix your stupid turf. And I got to watch my language here because I'm tired of turning on my television and seeing some bootleg field with multimillionaires on it. It looks like it got played on. In my former over 30 beer league. Just do better. If Cobb County can do a better job taking care of their fields than you can, England. I have nothing for you. England.
See? You didn't even need a group rant. You went off on one on your own.
I know. I'm tired of hearing it. It's just absurd. It's just absurd. It's garbage. And another thing that's garbage And I know that this is that you have to understand this is coming through prior to yesterday's, shall we say, performance of Atlanta United up in Toronto. Word on the street that Tata Martino was not even interviewed by the U.S. men's national team. Not even interviewed. I need to be talked off the ledge here. Why? In God's name is the U.S. men's national team doing? You're not even going to bring the guy in for an interview? Like, at no point does that cross your mind? Hey, look, let's bring in as many candidates as possible, even if we have one we've already settled on.
They didn't interview Tata Martino. They didn't interview Peter Vermees. They didn't interview Tab Ramos. They didn't interview Jesse Marsh.
Oscar Pareja.
Greg Vanny. I mean,
stupid.
Like, what? Really?
What are we doing?
I like what Peter Vermees said, in which he, I believe it was The Athletic, where he said, if you're just trying to qualify to World Cup, hire a blanking coach. You have to figure out what you want to be. And the problem that I have with the U.S. men's national team is this whole stealthy, what do we want to be, right? Well, are we just trying to qualify for the World Cup? Is that where we are now? Are we in the same boat as Trinidad? Like, oh, hey, look, let's just qualify and see what happens? Or are we trying to be better than that, right? Isn't the best overall U.S. finish ever, all time in the World Cup, like third? Like, what, in the 1936 or something that happened?
Tied for third in 1930. They didn't have a third place match.
Well, there we go. I mean, I would like to see third at some point in my lifetime. Just me. I would like to see something a bit better than qualifying.
Well, you'll see third. It's just it'll be other countries being third. It won't be the United States.
It's just absurd to me that how do you have that laundry list of managers that Jason just scrolled through and say not one of them is worth our time interviewing? Not one of them.
Means you had your mind made up going in.
That's it. That's it. And one thing that, and for people out there who are not of my age of 38, and John, I'm gonna say you're 38 as well, John.
Thank you.
You get to be our advanced age. You learn the value of shopping around. When you're young and stupid, you buy things impulsively. And then you realize 5 minutes later, oh, had I just done X, I could have got this for like 30 or 40% off. I could have had a better deal that would have benefited me far more than this stupid impulsive purchase.
Wait till Black Friday.
Wait for the sale, right? Do some research. Oh, this product sucks. I shouldn't have bought it. I should have bought this one instead. It blows my mind that the U.S. men's national team can't do some basic, one, due diligence, and two, inform the fans.
And three, due diligence.
And three, due diligence. Because if you look at teams out there that consistently make horrible decisions, one after the other, it almost always goes back to lack of due diligence. There's a reason the tried and true method works of just doing some damn research before you go and say, here's our guy, solved, problem solved, nothing to see here, keep it moving. Because you're still trying to convince fans to buy tickets to go to your stupid games. Be patriotic, come support the players. No, I can watch from TV and be patriotic and support the players. But I'm not going to watch people run around in the epic Paulding County chickens with their heads cut off formation and just get drilled left and right. I'm sorry, those days are done. I'm too stingy with my money.
Paulding County special, huh?
That's the Paulding County special. That we at East Paulding High School, I can tell you this: we were superstars in the chickens with our heads cut off formation. We were.
And then there's due diligence.
We perfected that. But it just seems to me, guys, that I don't know how you leave a guy like any forget, because obviously MLS will point now after the Toronto result and say, ha. Obviously, it's a good thing they didn't interview Tata Martino. Ha ha ha. Okay, insert any of the other names that Jason said, and tell me that not one of them deserved a call.
Well, none of them had a better record than Tata Martino. So for one, no. So it's the best regular season record in MLS history as a manager is held by Tata Martino. What he's done in 2 years here has been pretty special. And when the guy multiple times through different media outlets, and Taylor Twellman has said this on multiple occasions, it's been fairly obvious that Tata Martino has expressed an interest in the job and said he would like to talk about it. He would like to be interviewed about it. His statements on Friday at Atlanta United training, he made it clear, and I thought he handled it really well. Like, he's like, well, I can't really think about a job that I was never a candidate for or was never offered or never talked to about. So it's kind of ridiculous. I mean, you have quite a few different options. Even if you think you know what direction you want to go, it would make a lot of sense to talk to different folks.
Brandon B has chimed in on and let me know that I feel like Nick is talking about boot Marine decisions. And yes, Brandon, that's 100% correct. And for those who don't know what boot Marine decisions are, when you graduate Marine Corps boot camp, you have a very small sum of money in your bank account that is like a small fortune to you. And immediately you take that and you go down to like Marine Chevrolet and you buy a Camaro at like 47% interest. And then you immediately get married. You immediately have a kid, and then you get divorced about 3 months later. That is boot Marine decisions, and that's exactly what I feel like the U.S. men's national team is doing. They're buying a car at 47% interest.
So U.S. Soccer's about to buy a like Trans Am or something with T-tops, and then get divorced?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying is going to happen. Guys, I'm full Chicken Little on this one.
I'm afraid.
I'm full Chicken Little on this one. The sky is falling. I get that Ernie Stewart is, quietly locked away. I would like to have that vision of him quietly locked away, going over his notes, watching games. Here's who I think we should select as a result. But at some point, you have to come out and say, hey, fans, here's what we're trying to do. Because if you wait for what it was supposed to happen, this coming month, right? But if it goes any longer, what are you going to do? How are you going to convince the fans who dump their money into this organization that everything's okay and there's nothing to freak out about? How long can you hold it off? With no news at all, except who hasn't been interviewed.
I just have this vision of Ernie Stewart in that same room with a laptop that has very poor Wi-Fi and only gets the local TV channels on his cable streaming service.
He's got like the rabbit ears. He's got the rabbit ears with the aluminum foil on it,
and the digital antenna in the back.
That's right. He's
getting all of the obscure channels like France 24 and the 5 religious channels that are all on channel 63. It's like 63.214, and you get the old black and white movie channel with no sound and really poor subtitles because you're looking on an HD screen and it's an SD signal. That's what Ernie Stewart has in his room right now.
I think you're 100% correct. Patrick Cox says the U.S. national team drives a yellow V6 Mustang that's been repoed twice.
I would have said a Mercury Capri.
Woo. I don't think he's wrong. I'll back my man. I don't think he's wrong.
They drive a Mercury Capri until further notice.
It's unbelievable to me. I don't know. And guys, one thing that I want to start putting out there for the people who are listening, who, as this show has gone completely off the rails, is that we will be talking about the winter transfer window coming up as December, January quickly approach. Also, coaching hires, even for MLS, because I think with the regular season success that Tata Martino has had, I think there are a lot of teams that are going to be looking to South America and even Europe. And we've heard Zinedine Zidane to Miami. We've heard that rumor. But keep in mind that you have Nashville coming in, and Orlando's going to be probably looking for a new coach. Maybe. You think they're keeping O'Connor? Wow.
Because the world needs more JOC face.
I think you could convince a coach in Europe. I mean, you'd have to pay him an arm and a leg, but I think you could do it. I don't know how much lower you can get than that squad. Jason, do you think it's one of those situations where Orlando's going to have to, it's the chicken or the egg conversation, but are they going to have to convince some players to come in, pay them through the nose, and then let JOC coach them for a season before they get the new manager in? Well, Nashville, if you guys are listening, I want you guys to get Claudio Ranieri. I think it could be done. I think it can be done. I think that if you offer him enough money and a relaxed lifestyle, obviously with far less media pressure, then I think that at the end of the day, Claudio might be interested. Now, he would have to be able to get direct flights to Italy for his mom Renata, but I think that outside of that, I think it can be done, and I think that Tata has proven that big-name managers can and will come to MLS. So that's going to be part of soccer over there as well, because it is one giant global market. So we want to expose you all to the global market, and that includes South America. So I'm brushing up. I have Fanatics going. I'm yelling and screaming at the TV. I'm throwing things left and right because the games are absolutely bonkers. And also, you're going to start seeing players from South America making their way to Europe, to your favorite teams, and also up here to MLS. Please God, let really, really good players come to Atlanta United on really great, wonderful transfer prices, so that way we can win the league and win it 2 years in a row. How about that? Go United.
Sounds like Mr. Subliminal Man, Kevin Nealon there in that last bit. Gustavo has chimed in this evening.
Gustavo!
He says, I thought they were arguing from early morning in the show, but now I realize this is at Sock Over There, featuring the politically incorrect and deliciously irredeemable at Nick Alifi. Great strategy to mislead the unfortunate Atlanta United's fans, LOL. This is why we love Gustavo.
Wow. I think I have to save that one. That's going to be one that I'm going to have.
That's your new avatar, son.
That is it. That is deliciously irredeemable. Wow. Thank you, Gustavo, I think.
That's why we love Gustavo.
Look, if we kept it all the same, if it went from SDH with the same voice right to SOT, I'm pretty sure the guys would throw me to the wolves, and they may be ready to do that anyway. But I am happy that you're listening, Gustavo. Thank you so much. I'm mostly politically incorrect, and I don't know if I'm deliciously irredeemable, but hey, I'll take that. We'll go there.
Not a mental image I needed.
No, it's not. So, I will say that I think that Sergio Ramos, Brandon B is saying that Sergio Ramos needs to make a move out of Real Madrid. I don't think that will happen ever in life. Sergio Ramos is not leaving Real Madrid. I think he's going to have a statue built outside of the Bernabeu, and he will leave and go into the front office, very much like Maldini did for Milan without his sort of time in the wilderness that for some reason Paolo Maldini had to suffer inexplicably. So I don't think Ramos would. I think that if he were to move to, like, let's say MLS, I don't know how well that would go. I want to say that would go really well because he's still an elite level defender, but at the same time, you have to have players around you who can play as fluidly as you do. See Zlatan Ibrahimovic, or else you will end up missing the playoffs and then looking like Zlatan Ibrahimovic wistfully across the Atlantic, hoping to God that a Real Madrid or Milan will scoop you up on a loan.
Please, please, please. Punk, period, move, period. This past weekend. Punk, move. Let's see.
Sir.
You're up 2-0. You lose 3-2. And you don't even have the common courtesy to hang around and answer questions because you don't want to. Don't let it hit you on the way out. Goodbye.
I do have a problem with that. And we've got John Nelson from Alabaster, Alabama. Go ahead, John.
Galaxy ain't seen nothing from Bama, Paul.
Look, I think that he's a guy who has played at every level. He should be able to stop.
No, you don't get a pass.
No.
If you're supposed to be the face of your franchise, you play on turf and you don't check out of the locker room early when your team blows it and you don't make it the playoffs. You need to square up and answer questions.
Agreed. 100%. If
Instead of checking out the back door and going, okay, I will go to Syria and I will conquer that again. Shut up.
And I think that's really what it was. It's probably one of the few times where he has put his talents on display and he couldn't do everything he said he was going to do. Right.
But so here's you stand in front of the media horde.
Yes.
You have one question to ask.
Yep.
That he is going to answer.
Mm-hmm.
He has to answer the question.
Yes.
What's the question that you ask him?
Are you looking for a permanent move back to Europe?
Jason?
John?
For me, it would be, what were you telling your teammates out there with a 2-0 lead as it continued to disappear? How were you trying to keep them from having the whole thing fall off the rails? What were you doing as the face of this franchise? And then you'd hear birds chirping. That'd be my question. Knowing what the answer was going to be. Bars and tone. That's what the answer would be from him.
I just don't know. The thing is with Zlatan is he doesn't realize what's going to happen when he makes this move. And the same thing happened to David Beckham. Is that when Beckham showed up and he was with Milan and he was playing, he went to go do one of his standard crosses, right? Thing of beauty. The work of art. If you ever watched Beckham in his prime, when he put that ball across the field 60 yards on a dime, it was so fun, especially as a Milan fan, to see that. But one time he did it and his knee just exploded, right? I mean, he immediately drops to the ground, starts screaming. No one touched him. No one. It was Achilles. There it was. You're right. You're correct. I stand corrected. And that's what these older guys don't realize is that MLS is a faster, more physical league than people get. They don't understand that over in Europe. And so they think, oh, I'm just going to go back over and play at the same insane high level that I had previously. It doesn't work that way. Your body's older. It's getting broken down. And I think Wayne Rooney, God bless him, I was completely wrong about that guy. I think he's doing the 100% correct thing and saying, DC took a chance on me. I'm going to stay in DC. I'm going to work to get better. And that's what I'm focusing on. Zlatan, if he goes over to Europe, I I don't want to put the betting pool out for likelihood of injury because I'm not putting that out in the universe, but I'm just saying it's high. The likelihood is high.
Don't let the door hit you. Thanks for coming and conquering MLS.
I don't think I've ever heard John this fired up regarding a particular player.
No, I was going to. Well, don't ask me about Florida State athletics right now.
I have my own issue with Florida State athletics, so we'll leave that one completely alone. But I will say that the teams that have been rumored to take him are Real Madrid and Milan. Considering the upheaval right now at Real Madrid,
I was going to say, what would he do there? He wouldn't even be in the starting 11.
No, it has to be Milan, and I think Milan is in a position right now where they are currently, and this is stupid early in the season. I know, but they're qualifying for Europa. They're going to need something to try to get into Champions League.
I will conquer Europa League next. Yeah, whatever.
Exactly. He wants to get one last shot at Champions League, I think. And with Milan, if Milan can add a couple of pieces in the winter window, then I think it can be done. They have a Brazilian kid who's supposed to be coming in who's next level. But if they get a dedicated striker like an Ibrahimovic who they can bring on in key situations and help spell players as they, the drag of the season hits, maybe, just maybe, it could be a halfway decent fit if he accepts limitations on his playing time. But either way, I would be shocked and stunned if Ibrahimovic is back in MLS next year. Completely shocked if he's back with the Galaxy.
Not happening. Maybe somebody will come up with an offer. No, no. They'll be on grass though, but no.
Do we know the terms of his deal initially? Was it a 1-year deal? Was it 1 year with an option?
To $1.5 million per year for 2 years. It was a $3 million deal total.
I wonder what the buyout is on that.
I don't know. I mean, I'd say if I'm the Galaxy, you float him. I mean, somebody wants to buy him and give you $5 million, $6 million, fine, buy. Take it.
And that's the exact kind of deal that Milan has to get. And remember, we talked about financial fair play earlier. They are a team that is absolutely limited by financial fair play. Moves like that you see for like Palacios for $30 million, that is right within the sweet spot of what Milan's looking for, which is why they're going back to South America to tap some talent, as opposed to trying to snag other European rising superstars. So a deal like this would be perfect for them. I think they're the ones who probably need to try to get that. Jason, we're hearing that we can't hear you. Are you muted?
We can now.
Okay. All right, there we go. Also, Patrick says Zlatan is MVP. New England has the best Brunswick.
Please.
Patrick bringing the heat to Mr. Nelson today. Brandon asked, what about Zidane for the next manager of Atlanta United?
Nope.
It would fit the passion project, but I don't think that's the direction.
Patrick tried to buzz the tower with a fastball.
I think it's Schelotto. I still think it's Schelotto.
Yeah.
I think he's the favorite. I don't know if anything's been decided as of yet.
Well, a couple of things that I saw is that he knows how to win ugly. So I'm okay. I'm okay with a coach who can play pretty ball but knows how to play really ugly if he needs to. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, most Argentines fit that description. That's the beauty of the game in Argentina. You get some of the beautiful game, and you get some of the underhanded.
Not so beautiful game.
I highly recommend a book called Angels with Dirty Faces. It's just about the history of soccer in Argentina as a whole, and I mean, it goes all the way back to the beginnings of the country and how soccer was introduced, and when soccer was on the rise, it was all about the beautiful game and skill and flair, and tactics didn't matter and defense didn't matter. It was all about, expressing yourself. And then after some failures at the national team level, it flipped to the complete and utter opposite of that, where Racing got into a war with Celtic in an Intercontinental Cup. that nearly created all kinds of international incidents, and then Estudiantes created international incidents with Manchester United, and then you had that side of it. You had Argentina and England in the 1966 World Cup. Go check that one out if you haven't. It's bonkers, just bonkers all the way across the board. Then you went back to the mix of the beautiful game and the not so beautiful game, and that's the dichotomy of soccer in Argentina. It's a great book. Highly recommended.
And keep in mind that when we talk about the issues with England and Argentina, for those who aren't necessarily up high and tight on their history, that would be the Falklands War.
There's also that, yes.
So, yeah. So,
they didn't like each other on the soccer field before that. That just added to it.
Yeah. So for all the Schelotto fans out there who are wondering what's going on right now, Boca Juniors currently sitting in 9th in the league. So could be a little bit better. GBS turns it around if he.
They're focused on Libertadores. That's all. That's that matters their focus.
For them. They're not worried about the
league is secondary. It's secondary right now. I mean, it's Copa Libertadores because you're in the semis, and potentially, I mean, right now you're in really good shape to get to the final, and you could see a final if River Plate gets it together and goes to get a result in the road. A Argentine Clásico Copa Libertadores final that might burn Buenos Aires to the ground.
That would definitely be worthy of getting Fanatis by itself.
I am absolutely here for that. I just love that the Argentina Superliga has the Defensa y Justicia as a team name.
Oh, that's a great team.
I am all about that team name.
Wait till you see Gimnasia y Esgrima.
What?
Yeah.
Gymkata and a scream? What?
No. Gimnasia y Esgrima.
All right.
Well, you could see Atlanta in the Argentine Superliga, but they're, I think, in the 3rd division. They used to be a 1st division team.
See, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to get into more on soccer over there. Our time, we're going slightly into extra time. Jason, for the greater Atlanta audience, where will you be and when? And then we'll follow up with you, John, with the same question.
Yeah, tomorrow, stoppage time live at Fido Irish Pub in Buckhead. Myself, Mike Conti, Jimmy Vance will be on hand talking Atlanta United and all of the fallout from Decision Day and all of the preparation for the MLS Cup playoffs. Joe Patrick from Dirty South Soccer will be joining us, and we are efforting our second guest. Looks like it could be somebody that John and I had the privilege of calling a number of the games that he was involved in. So stay tuned as to that, who that could be. That announcement will come out in the morning, it looks like.
Sweet.
So yes. One thing I will say about this is that if you didn't tune in via Facebook Live or you were not there in person, it is an absolutely awesome setup that they have there. If you want soccer to grow and you want that what I mean by soccer to grow is the media crush that surrounds Atlanta United right now. If you want that to grow and stick, showing up and tuning into events like this, mission critical, because this tells the program directors back at the radio station, hey, there's an audience. We need to feed that audience. So keep tuning in. If you can't be there in person, I couldn't be there last week. I had to be the garlic bread dad as opposed to the garlic bread warlord. And I'm going to try to get out there this week to see it. Either way, I will be tuning in. But show up. Be there. Support your local soccer awesome super team, the Avengers of Atlanta Soccer. John Nelson, where will you be, sir?
Well, I believe I will be efforting my dinner plans to check out the shepherd's pie over at said institution of listenability tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that particular part of it. And then as the week continues to grow, I will be matriculating south of the Nat Line. I will be Friday night in Moultrie, Georgia for the Bracketology Friday for high school football into the regular season. So it'll be Lowndes and Colquitt County on GPB and all the GPB platforms. Friday night coverage starts at 7.
And John, while you're on the phone, I do want to say that the photos that you posted of South Georgia post the hurricane coming through were absolutely mind-bending. So I appreciate you, as somebody who has a lot of family in South Georgia, I appreciate you putting out the images and letting the rest of the world, and because it can seem like it's two completely different worlds, from Atlanta to like Valdosta and Cordele and so forth. So it's important that people see those images, and thank you so much for posting them. I really appreciate it, and I know that the listenership does as well. That's going to be it for today. That's going to be it for
No, I was
today.
just going to say that there's more stuff from Seminole County that'll be on the pregame show and at the halftime of the game of the week. So it was a very eye-opening experience, and it barely scratches the surface of everything that we've shot down there. See,
that's the kind of stuff that when we talk about athletes and teams that overcome things and how sports can be that great distraction, what John's talking about here, that absolutely nails it. John and Jason, I appreciate it. You guys are amazing as always. They carry the show. I just kind of let me hang around and tag along and be the little fungus that sort of has leached on to the great soccer down here universe. So if you stuck with us this entire time, you are a saint, and I really appreciate you. I'm Nick Leafy, Jason Longshore, John Nelson, soccer over there. We will see you again next week.
A lot of Leary, y'all.
Adios, muchachas y muchachos.
Mucha euro.